Hey, you know how sometimes we say something like funny?
Yeah.
This is not one of those times. What's up, G?
There he is. Hey, man. How are you?
Check your audio things doing the volume.
It's doing the.
Well, as if you weren't baritone enough.
It's doing the deep voice thing.
It is.
Let's get some love.
Lori just asked me how I was doing. Well, I am fasting today, but I also boxed it a little bit, so that happened. That's how I'm feeling, I guess. Yeah. Okay. I'm looking for a free live stream, how to watch online without cable. Yeah, I do need to know that. Tell me more. Fuck off. You
Testing 1, 2, 3.
That sounds perfect.
Is that the right mic? Is that yeah, okay.
Tap. You want to tap it? Tap. Oh yeah.
All right.
You paid more in taxes than the president.
That's true. There are people in Florida who can't vote because of fines that are more than the president paid in income taxes. That's disgusting, and you should be mad as hell about it.
Okay, I am.
Yeah,
that has been accomplished.
Yeah, we're on. I think we're on Facebook already. There, Sherry B. Let me check and make sure. I didn't actually look.
Has anyone looked into how to stream the debate?
I have a website that I use to watch MSNBC. I'll send you a link to that. I thought for sure you had one of those.
Yeah. Well, no, I have that. That's MSNBC. I didn't know if it was going to be on there. And that doesn't always work. So I wanted to try and find a place that was good.
Hey, don't know. I didn't even give it a thought because before we streamed it, MSNBC, we didn't worry too much about it.
Apparently, it's going to be on CBS News. Okay. I think we're good.
Okay. Yes, but are we live?
Yeah,
yes,
we're live.
There we are.
We're live on YouTube at least. Although I believe.
Well, that's what Sherry was asking if we were live on Facebook, and we are. It's there.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, Corey. Okay.
I can mute that over there. Yeah.
So yeah, our plan tonight is to live stream the debate, and we're going to be following a couple of interesting people on Twitter. Our friend Cher is going to be sarcastically live tweeting, but more importantly, we're going to check in with Daniel Dale, who fact checks the president in real time pretty much every time he speaks. He did warn us today that lies that he's told a lot of times he'll respond to right away, but lies that are new and improved, he may have to take a few minutes to check the data on those. But Daniel Dale started out with the Toronto Sun, I guess now is with NBC News, is he not? Or CNN? He's with CNN.
I think he's with CNN now, yeah.
Yep. So he's the fact checker of record on this entire presidency. So yeah. Yes.
There we go.
Boy, we got some new folks in here. PJ Plastino is telling us, for real boys, use C-SPAN. Major networks could strike you for it. He's not wrong about that. So you can find the C-SPAN feed. Wouldn't wait. Everyone fucking pumped to watch two white dudes who should be napping and argue about the future of democracy.
Oh, come on now. Interestingly enough.
I'm ready for that. I think one of the things that's interesting that's been happening this week is Donald Trump and his staff have been downplaying Joe Biden's skill. That's something you never do. You tell everybody, he's a great debater. We're really, because that way, if your guy makes him look stupid, it's even better, right? But playing up or playing down that Joe Biden's not going to do well, that's a mistake.
they had it set so basically all he had to do was like show up and be like conscious. Because isn't he supposed to be like a senile, like basically doddering old man who can't string 3 words together? And then he comes and drops knowledge bombs about COVID for an hour. And you're like, oh, wait a minute. He must be on drugs and have enhancers and an earplug or something. Dude, that thing that you sent me.
A pint of ice cream and a set of earbuds. Yeah.
My earbuds and performance enhancers. That's good. That was good shit.
I thought my favorite thing that I saw today was every time Chris Wallace asks a question, Joe Biden should say, Chris, that's the $750 question right there.
Oh my God, that's good. That's so good.
I know. It's not my idea, but I think it's a great one.
Oh yeah, no, that's a winner. That's a winner.
Yeah. So good evening to all of you. Here's a funny thing. I wasn't expecting this. We weren't sure that we were going to do this. We were going to live stream the debate. But all day long, people were messaging me yesterday and early this morning asking, are you guys going to do this? And I couldn't be more excited that you guys reached out to us to find out if we were doing this. We had said we were going to, I guess, yesterday, day before. The days all kind of run together when you're old like me. But it was really gratifying that you guys decided you wanted to come share it with us. I want to remind you that alcohol poisoning is a real thing. So if you're planning on a drinking game keyed on words such as China or socialism or Antifa, get ready for some pain because you're going to be drinking heavily tonight. Yeah, there you go. Lori Bersani, the other one, Lori Bersani, or drop 750 on the podium and say, next year's on me, Chief. Oh my goodness.
I think I saw that somewhere and it is worth hearing twice.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one. So I want to remind people if I have a bit of a Debbie Downer moment here, it's that I remember last election cycle, I was absolutely sure that Hillary Clinton had waxed the floor with fucking Donald Trump, and it didn't stick. Like it didn't land, and it was horrifying to me that people were thinking Trump won that debate because he said no puppet, and the other one because he said that makes me smart about not paying his taxes. I thought those were really disappointing outcomes. So I want us to be cautious in our optimism of what's going to happen here. I'm not sure that Donald Trump is vulnerable to a drubbing in a debate. I don't think his fan base cares if he's humiliated and senseless.
Hold.
I just don't think they
the
care.
way that it was before, like that,
No, I'm not drinking tonight, but
no, by all means, get after it. I absolutely, I know for a fact that this will affect him more than 2016 because he had to stop doing the fucking live circus show during the COVID thing because he was that fucking terrible. Like he absolutely can injure himself. Before it was like a made up record that nobody wanted to go check. Now, like in the last week, there's been 5, administration ending pieces of news. So I absolutely think that he could be damaged. And his like 35%, 40%, like his approval rating has been hovering around 41%. He has those. I don't give a fuck about those people. And I never have. We're not going to convince them. I want them demoralized as fuck, and this might actually do that, right? Some of them. But really, like if it's a 1-point race and we manage to move the needle by 0.5% this time, that's a win.
Okay. What I said wasn't exactly that. What I said was I don't think a bad debate performance hurts Donald Trump.
I know. I'm disagreeing fully. I think it absolutely hurts him. Because there are, and I'm never going to understand this, there are undecided voters in this country who have their heads shoved wholly up their ass. Yes. Or they're working 9 jobs.
These are the people. These are the same people that go to an Italian restaurant and ask, "Do you have anything without garlic?"
Yeah.
Why are you here?
Yeah. Seriously.
do you have anything that's not spicy at the Mexican place?
Right. So again, like everything in America hinges on the swing voter, which is why everything's fucking wrong. But at the same time, those people do exist. They're an exceedingly small group of people, and they are actually now starting to pay attention. And so when they pay attention, they're going to be like, oh, is Trump going to be all blustery? They're going to see an actual president in Biden who could actually have handled and will handle this COVID situation like an adult, as opposed to a lying piece of garbage. Like, I really do think like our trauma around 2016 doesn't necessarily apply. And again, how many times we have to do the caveat, act like you're 10 points down. Oh, that's obviously true. Right. I am not convinced that a bad debate performance won't finish him. Like
Right.
he just
Deb-
decides to like go out into the sunset. And,
Deb Avera is rightfully calling me out for using the phrase Debbie Downer instead of negative Nancy, because we have a Deb. But so
how dare you?
I didn't mean to equate downerness with your name, Deb. But please don't be a Karen about it. That's all I'm saying. Hey, Deb has moved into her new place in Virginia, working a job she loves. So that's pretty exciting. We're happy to hear that. That's good stuff. Yeah. Heard him only in that will push them not to vote. I hope that's what happens. I hope it decreases turnout among his side. I hope they're humiliated and yeah, I hope they're humiliated. Full stop. There you go. Melanie Jacobs McWilliams said, I just missed that quote. I know some who don't like either and are not voting, so this matters. Okay, yeah, I just like if you're not voting, it's like saying I hate fires, so I'm not going to put it out. I'm just going to let the thing burn down. I just don't understand that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know.
We're one viewer away from a concurrent record.
Nice. Michelle Freeman says, "Don't be mean. I love little old men. I was a geriatric nurse for 30 years. I know she loves this little old man, so I got that going for me, which is nice." Yeah. Yeah. See, I found one that likes old dudes.
Well done. I mean,
Yeah.
it's pretty smart, really, when it comes down to it.
I mean, I want somebody that knows the signs of an oncoming stroke or TI. So, that's good.
Oh,
Just
shit.
planning ahead.
Check this out. It's 28 minutes ago. Representative Swalwell's resolution for peaceful and orderly transition of power as called for in the Constitution has just passed on a 397-5 vote. Matt
Oh,
Gaetz,
yeah.
Louis Gohmert, Clay Higgins, Steve King, of course, that racist piece of garbage, and Thomas Massey, who really just wanted to make a name for himself, so he signed up with the fucking Nazis.
Wow.
Fucking clown.
Wow.
Oh. Like, talk about a giant hose bag list. Anyway.
Yeah. By the way, I've been. This is a thing that's taken me a long time to get comfortable about, but you may have seen me doing a thing earlier. I live in a town that has decriminalized cannabis, so if you want to call the cops on me, okay. I think they're just going to show up and tell me to put it out, but whatever. We could try that. But yeah, I'm not going to. I don't drink. Haven't had a drink since Reagan was president, so I will not be drinking tonight. But I may need something for mood stability. Yeah. So I feel like how this is going to go is Corey's going to be like Luther, the anger translator. And I'm going to be, holding Corey down off the ceiling with a rope. And Donna will be like, "You lying motherfucker," in the background. That's how that's going to go.
Please give her a long distance high five for me. We just hit 37, which is awesome. Thank you, everyone who has been showing.
She's going to be throwing things. She's going to be
fair enough.
And not at our new TV.
No.
She's going to throw things at the old broken TV.
No.
So we're okay. We just got a new TV yesterday.
That's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, on a whim is joining us from Michigan. I'm so mad I'm going to miss a majority of this before I get home. I want to smoke and watch. You know what? Once our live feed is done, you'll be able to watch it in its entirety. You just won't be able to participate in real time, which is a bummer because we love and miss you. Wish you were down here instead of up there. I don't know what you were thinking, but Paul, you were thinking I'm out of Florida, so so I have that going for me, which is nice. I'm amazed in the comments how many people have made a trip to the dispensary today to make sure that they're fully emotionally geared up for what's about to happen.
I think that's super smart. I mean, I think that's just the way to play this.
Hey, I want to say a public word while we've got a record number of viewers. We do, by the way, have a record number of viewers by a lot. Thank you. But Brad Jurgens, a guy in my friends list who I think I've met once or twice, he owns Astro Cycles. It's a bicycle shop at the corner of Main and Congress in Newport Richie. Go spend money at that guy's store because here's what happened. Yesterday, we drove by a homeless person who was in a wheelchair and not obviously not doing very well. He has lost a leg. Not while we were there, but he was in a wheelchair because he was missing a leg. We stopped because Mishi was worried about him. We ended up bringing him back a bag of food. He was not doing well. This morning when she drove by the same spot to check on him, wheelchair was there. Dude was gone. So she spent a better part of her day freaking out trying to find this man. She put his heavy ass, industrial grade wheelchair in her car by herself, got it home to her house, and then was like, well, now I got to find him because I want to make sure he gets his stuff back. And I want to make another side point here, which is when they transport a homeless person in emergency services, whether the paramedics, firefighters, or the police, they don't transport their stuff. So it's entirely likely that this guy, when he got out of the hospital, would not have had a wheelchair. And you can only get one of those every few years if you're on emergency medical care. So she was very concerned this guy was going to get discharged from the hospital with one leg and not have his goddamn wheelchair. So she took it home. And in the process, she discovered that one of the wheels, the rubber had come off one of the wheelchair wheels. So we put the word out. We needed somebody. I thought it was one of the bicycle tires. Like it had a, are we late? No,
we're good. I'm just testing
I thought it was like it was a tube tire. It wasn't. So it was just the rubber had come off of the rim. Brad Juergens from Astrocycles responded to a message from Brianna Lyons, who is also a friend of the show and a friend of ours. And Brad showed up at Mishi's house about 6 o'clock this afternoon, fixed it in the driveway, free of charge, not a penny. So we're going to be able to get and we also found the guy in the hospital. We know what happened. We know he's okay. We're gonna be able to get him his wheelchair and all of his belongings back as soon as he's out of the hospital. I just want to take a moment to say, if you're in Newport Richey and you're looking for a bicycle or you need a repair on your bicycle, or you can even just slash your own tires and take them to Brad's shop, Astrocycles on Congress there at Maine, get that guy some cash because he did a great thing for free for a homeless guy today. And we love that. So I took a little side detour there off on a bike trail, if you will, to tell you about a great thing that happened today. And quit saying I'm awesome. It was all Mishi and Brad. I was just the megaphone. I'm just the loudspeaker. That's it.
Well,
yeah.
There you have it, people.
At least we knew. Hey, at least we had friends who knew who to call. It's quite a community we have here.
I agree. All right, well, I have some apprehension. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah,
a little bit. I'm fine. Everything's fine.
The Judy and Peter Blum Kovler Foundation.
Wow, this guy's fascinating.
Has given its trust to the nonpartisan mission of the commission.
Yeah, okay. We make money doing this, and we love the political capital capture.
Carrie's asking about
the fact that we run this thing.
Yeah, Carrie's asking about our friend if he has blankets and supplies. We actually don't know, but until we know when he's getting discharged from the hospital, we're going to wait on that. Also, we know he just got out of a diabetes rehab facility on the 24th, and he was back on the street again and having a medical emergency yesterday. So I suspect he'll be put somewhere else for a while to recover from all of that. So let's wait. Carrie, we may want to put together an aid package, and we'll put up a post about it when it comes time. But we also don't want to overload a guy in a wheelchair with stuff that he can't use. So we're going to wait and see where he ends up and how we can facilitate that. But thank you for asking. That's a good question. This all started because Mishi brought him a giant bag of food yesterday.
All right. So I'm going to just get a few Twitter feeds up here.
Yeah.
You have Daniel Dale up, right?
I do not. I can do that right now. I was busy telling a story.
Do that. Yeah, it was a good story. It was all right if you like that kind of thing.
I even posted it on the Good News Facebook page.
Who doesn't like that kind of thing, really? Yep.
I'm amazed he's not trending. Daniel Dale.
Right? Yeah, just like the thing that literally everyone needs in this particular moment. I did want to get Cher up, who said she was going to be live tweeting. Not Chet. That was a typo. Keep that up.
Okay, I got Daniel Dale up. I'll be tweeting debate fact checks and as close to real time as possible. Note, if we don't do something immediately on Twitter, that doesn't mean it's not being done at all. Claims that haven't been uttered before or where they've changed the wording will require research first. So there's that.
Yeah, Dave said be apprehensive, Corey, if Trump is going to talk over him like he did Hillary and they allow it. I'll be shocked if Biden wins this. Yeah, I mean, there's a million ways for the drunken pigeon to come out convincing the aforementioned super duper smart swing voters that he's powerful and in control. And so, I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Yay, everything's awesome. Maybe I'll just get like the hashtag or something. Oh, excuse me. Debate Tuesday. That's today. I get it. Carly Fiorina. Hello. Numbers don't lie unless you're a liar and a cheat. Okay. Republican lady.
Oh, who was the other one? Ann, what's her name? The skinny
Ann Coulter. Yeah, I saw Ann Coulter's not
Ann
playing.
Coulter is outraged that Donald Trump didn't pay taxes. What the hell? What kind of this timeline sucks.
What is that?
Yeah.
My buddy Curtis from Canada is like, I have to wholly agree with Ann Coulter now. This is terrible.
I don't even. Bill Kristol. I find myself agreeing with Bill Kristol in it more often now than ever in history.
David
Even back
Trump.
when I was a conservative.
Come on,
you know.
man.
Yeah.
This is terrible. It's just terrible. This timeline is stupid.
Oh, so Eric Trump came out today and then went right back in.
Oh yeah,
So-
he's gay.
But then he wasn't. By nightfall, he figured out.
gays?
Yeah.
Oh well,
Yeah. I
You know.
called him a log cabin fascist because I thought that was the funniest.
we had one of those. We had one of those on Moving Forward podcast. That was such a great, that
Yes, you did.
was such a great fucking podcast.
It just took you a while to see it.
Come on now, I didn't mean Rio.
Oh.
Settle down. We had an actual fascist on.
Oh
No.
my goodness.
The abiding thing that I'm always going to credit Rio is he literally does hate Trump almost as much as I do.
Right.
So there's that.
Dave, Coulter has been inside Trump's rectum for a while now. Okay, you. No thanks. Ugh. Couldn't happen to a nicer pundit. So there's that, I guess.
Obviously, we have to follow Tommy Vietor. Come on now.
Oh.
Rick Santorum is 20% less shitty without the sweater vest, but still absolutely.
Tommy Vitor is one of the Pod Save America heroes.
That is true.
Elizabeth Wood, really wish y'all could see how much THC I have on deck and ready for this. And she lives in Colorado, so I'm sure it's formidable.
How was I not following Stephen Colbert? Oh, look,
that
it's
seems,
the fascist family.
Yeah, it's the $1 million consultancy fee lady. And is that, what's her name, Candace Owens there?
Is it really?
Wait, see, maybe?
That would be fucking hilarious.
I don't know. Maybe. There's Joe Biden. I like her.
Yeah, she seems not terrible. I mean, granted, like by comparison, they're all terrible, so that's fun. Hey, mom, mommy, mom, Mom.
Mama, mommy.
mommy.
This is
I
why
do that.
ferrets eat their young.
I do that.
Chris Wallace is
Do
on.
we play? All right, fuck you, Chris Wallace. Just wanna
Hey.
get that out there. Why can't I hear him?
I don't know.
That's not gonna work.
Did you remember to do the thing with the?
Yeah, of course I did. We could hear them before. Hold on. Okay. I can hear them.
We can't. I can't hear them.
Okay, hold on.
Yep.
MSNBC is doing it live right now. Please hold.
Long and tan and tall
Debater,
and
David.
lovely.
We spoke with Hillary Clinton earlier this hour about what it's like debating him versus other sort of more typical
Okay, well,
politicians. Nicole has some interesting reporting tonight.
while I love Rachel
Yeah.
Maddow.
Oh, Virginia said his mic was off. She didn't have sound in her other video either.
All right. Well, I'll line up the thing again.
Yeah, it's usually us. So you can imagine why we maybe got that wrong. It's because it's usually us fucking
Right?
up the audio.
One hundo.
Why am I in
Others
such a
and
good
it.
mood tonight, man?
You've been spending most of the time talking about pot, so
I haven't had any though. It's still sitting here on my desk.
I mean, maybe you just are like, "Yay, we have the thing." You know what I mean?
Okay.
I'm just making that shit up.
Yeah. So I guess maybe why I'm feeling good is I saw some polling today from Civics, which is a B-rated polling company from 538, that Georgia, Biden may actually have a lead in Georgia, and the Senate race in Georgia, the two Senate races in Georgia, are actually looking pretty good for the Democrats involved. That's going well.
Is that the other daughter?
Tiffany, maybe it is.
Oh, she exists still? That's hilarious. Oh, that fucking clown Covington's in the fucking crowd. Fuck
Who?
that guy. Guy just won a UFC fight, and he's a huge Trump fan, and he's a raging piece of shit. I mean, nobody's
Oh,
surprised by that, but yeah.
Hi, I'm Eric. I'm not gay.
You know what? Oh, he's not gay.
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
No, I mean, chances are you'd be much happier. I hate the face that they get. Like, we have to do this with our face.
Yeah. Yeah, Lori says Rachel is my wife in my the other universe where I'm gay. Mine too.
Yeah.
Actually, I really want to go fishing with Rachel Maddow and drink coffee on a riverbank somewhere.
Man,
That would be
okay, could we just like put that out in the universe that we could do a hashtag coffee where we're just you guys are fishing because nobody wants me to try and do that. Okay, this is me not making the 4 obvious jokes.
please don't. I really don't care, do you?
No, I'm
Debbie King is trending on Twitter. Hey, Debbie King, nice to see you in our feed, and Heather Saint Amand as well. That's
Goodness
cool.
gracious.
Yeah.
All right, well.
So the Georgia news made me feel good, and the fact that
Yes.
according to AARP polling, Biden is gaining on Trump significantly among voters over 65 in Florida. And I know that sounds like a dead demographic, but in Florida, it is the demographic.
If you win old people in Florida, you have won Florida. Like that's I don't think there's any way to argue that point.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah. See, we're not professionals. We ran out of stuff to say right at 9:00, but obviously Rachel is what real.
Dude, the Republic of Kazakhstan, and I think this is real. Congratulations to great friend of the Kazakh people at Real Donald Trump for winning debate today. Or is this him?
It's got to be him because it's
Impressive and amazing result for a strong premier who has always put America and Kazakhstan. Premier who has always put America and Kazakhstan first. Oh yeah, no, it totally is. Okay.
it's Sacha Baron Cohen.
Hold
Yeah,
on.
Borat. There's a new Borat movie coming out. And the title of it is the funniest thing I've seen in weeks. Just the title of the movie is hilarious.
Okay, I mean the debate's going to start pretty soon. They're going to do their stupid fucking preambles, yada yada yada. I'm going to give you guys a treat first because you deserve it. You deserve it. You've been through a lot. This is so worth it.
History. Donald Trump, strongest premier in history. He not racist. Black guys love him so much they kneel before him. Trump never had stroke. He protector of women's. The hero of war. Biden's breath so bad he forced to wear mask. Because Trump, 350 million Americans still
Volume.
Trump never had stroke. Vote for Premier Trump or you will be crushed. Dziękuję.
Kazakhis against foreign meddling. That's awesome.
Oh man. Anyway, all right, so that'll happen.
Oh my gosh. I love our lives. You know,
World treasure.
we're pretty damn lucky. We are pretty
All right.
damn lucky. So we're 3 minutes into the opening of the debate time, and Daniel Dale hasn't fact checked anything yet.
There will be no
Fair
commercials.
enough.
There will be no opening statements. There will be no breaks, although there will be 6 distinct sections of about 15 minutes each. It will start with the first question going to President Trump. That was prearranged by the campaigns. Our Wallace,
Hey, why'd you let 200,000 people die? You fucking fuck. Is that going to be the question?
moderator will be Chris Wallace from Fox News
Oh my
Sunday.
goodness.
The debate should begin now, and the candidates should be taking their places at the podiums. Let's go to it live.
History will laugh at you, Chris Wallace.
Good evening from the Health Education Campus of Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic. I'm Chris Wallace of Fox News, and I welcome you to the first of the 2020 presidential debates between President Donald J. Trump and former Vice President Joe Biden. This debate is sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates. The commission has designed the format, 6 roughly 15-minute segments with 2-minute answers from each candidate to the first question, then open discussion for the rest of each segment. Both campaigns have agreed to these rules. For the record, I decided the topics and the questions in each topic. I can assure you, none of the questions has been shared with the commission or the two candidates. This debate is being conducted under health and safety protocols designed by the Cleveland Clinic, which is serving as the health security advisor to the commission for all 4 debates. As a precaution, both campaigns have agreed the candidates will not shake hands at the beginning of tonight's debate. The audience here in the hall has promised to remain silent. No cheers, no boos or other interruptions, so we, and more importantly you, can focus on what the candidates have to say. No noise except right now, as we welcome the Republican nominee, President Trump, and the Democratic nominee, Vice President Biden.
Oh man, I really wanted Trump to come up by himself just so we could boo.
I want booing.
Vote him out. Vote him out. Except that guy. Vote that guy in. I'm gonna shut up now.
How you doing, man? How are you? I'm well.
How you doing, man? He called him man.
Exactly. I'm gonna chew up your face.
Gentlemen, a lot of people have been waiting for this night, so let's get going. Our first subject is the Supreme Court. President Trump, you nominated Amy Coney Barrett over the weekend to succeed the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg on the court. You say the Constitution is clear about your obligation and the Senate's to consider a nominee to the court. Vice President Biden, you say that this is an effort by the president and Republicans to jam through an appointment and what you call an abuse of power. My first question to both of you tonight, why are you right in the argument you make and your opponent wrong? And where do you think a Justice Barrett would take the court? President Trump, in this first segment, you go first, 2 minutes.
Thank you very much, Chris. I will tell you very simply, we won the election. Elections have consequences. We have the Senate, we have the White House, and we have a phenomenal nominee, respected by all, top academic, good in every way, In fact, some of her biggest endorsers are very liberal people from Notre Dame and other places. So I think she's going to be fantastic. We have plenty of time, even if we did it after the election itself. I have a lot of time after the election, as you know. So I think that she will be outstanding. She's going to be as good as anybody that has served on that court. We really feel that. We have a professor at Notre Dame, highly respected by all, said she's the single greatest student he's ever had. He's been a professor for a long time at a great school. And we won the election, and therefore we have the right.
Shorter Biden answer. You hypocritical fuck.
Knowingly would say otherwise. And by the way, the Democrats, they wouldn't even think about not doing it. If they had, the only difference is they'd try and do it faster. There's no way they would give it up. They had Merrick Garland, but the problem is they didn't
bring up
have the
Merrick
election,
Garland.
so
Are
they
you
were stuffed? And probably that would happen in reverse also. Definitely would happen in reverse. So we won the election, and we have the right to do it, Chris.
President Trump, thank you. Same question to you, Vice President Biden. You have 2 minutes.
Well, first of all, thank you for doing this and looking forward to this, Mr. President.
Thank you, Joe.
The American people have a right to have a say in who the Supreme Court nominee is. And that say occurs when they vote for a United States senators and when they vote for the President of the United States. They're not going to get that chance now because we're in the middle of an election already. The election has already started. Tens of thousands of people have already voted. And so the thing that should happen is we should wait. We should wait and see what the outcome of this election is, because that's the only way the American people get to express their view is by who they elect as president and who they elect as vice president. Now, what's at stake here is the president's made it clear he wants to get rid of the Affordable Care Act. He's been running on that. He ran on that, and he's been governing on that. He's in the Supreme Court right now trying to get rid of the Affordable Care Act, which will strip 20 million people from having insurance, health insurance now, if it goes into court. And the justice, and I have nothing, I'm not opposed to the justice. She seems like a very fine person. But she's written before she went on the bench, which is her right, that she thinks that the Affordable Care Act is not constitutional. The other thing that's on the court, and if it's struck down, what happens? women's rights are fundamentally changed. Once again, a woman could be held, pay more money because she has a pre-existing condition of pregnancy. They were able to charge a woman more for the same exact procedure a man gets. And that ended when we, in fact, passed the Affordable Care Act. And there's 100 million people who have pre-existing conditions, and they'll be taken away as well. Those pre-existing conditions, the insurance companies are going to love this. And so it's just not appropriate to do this before this election. If he wins the election and the Senate is Democrat or Republican, then he goes forward. If not, we should wait until February. All right.
There aren't 100 million people with pre-existing conditions. As far as the say is concerned, the people already had their say. Okay, Justice Ginsburg said very powerfully, very strongly, at some point, 10 years ago or so, she said a president and the Senate is elected for a period of time, but a president's elected for 4 years. We're not elected for 3 years. I'm not elected for 3 years. So we have the Senate, we have a president.
He's elected to the next
During
election.
that period of time, we have an opening. I'm not elected for 3 years. I'm elected for 4 years.
The
And the
election's
100
already
million
started.
people, Joe, the 100 million people is totally wrong. I don't know where you got that number. The bigger problem that you have is that you're going to extinguish 180 million people with their private health care that they're very
That's
happy
simply
with.
not true.
Well, you're certainly
knows
going
that.
to socialist.
Go
You're
ahead.
going to socialist medicine.
We're now into, gentlemen, we're now into open discussion.
Open discussion.
Open discussion. Yes, I agree. Go ahead, Vice President.
Number
Biden.
one, he knows that what I proposed. What I proposed is that we expand Obamacare and we increase it. We do not wipe any. And one of the big debates we had with 23 of my colleagues trying to win the nomination that I won were saying that Biden wanted to allow people to have private insurance still. They can. They do. They will under my proposal.
It's not what you've said,
But
and it's not what
that
your
is-
party has said.
That is simply
Your party
a lie.
doesn't say it. Your party
is
wants to
simple.
go socialist
My
medicine.
party is
and
me.
socialist
right
healthcare.
now, I am
And
the
they're going to
Democratic
dominate
Party.
you, Joe. You know that.
I am the Democratic Party right now. The platform of the
Not according
Democratic
to
Party
Harris.
is what I, in fact, approved of. What I approved of. Now, here's the deal. The deal is that it's going to wipe out pre-existing conditions. And by the way, the 200,000 people that have died on his watch, how many of those have survived? Well, there's 7 million people that contracted COVID. What does it mean for them going forward if you strike down the Affordable Care Act? And
Joe, you've had
pre-existing conditions?
308,000 military people dying because you couldn't provide them proper health care in the military. So don't tell me
I'm
about
happy
this.
to talk about
And if
this.
you were here,
Look,
it
here's
wouldn't
the
be
deal.
200, it would be 2 million people because you were very
Fucking
late on the
clown.
draw. You
Late
didn't
on
want
the
me to
draw.
ban China, which was heavily infected. You didn't want me to ban
All right, gentlemen,
Europe, which was heavily
Mr. President,
infected. You would have
Mr.
been much
President,
later, Joe.
Mr.
Much
President,
later.
Mr.
You're
President,
talking about 2 million people.
You're not gonna be able
President,
to
as
shut
a
him up.
moderator, we are going to talk about COVID in the next segment, but go
But
ahead.
Let me finish. The point is that the president also is opposed to Roe v. Wade. That's on the ballot as well in the court. And so that's also at stake right now. And so the election is already
You don't know it's on the
begun.
ballot.
I-
Why is it on the ballot?
Because
Why is it
you
on the
said
ballot? It's not
you're-
on the ballot.
It's on the ballot in the
I
court.
don't think so.
In the court. Well,
There's nothing happening there.
Donald, would you
And you
just
don't
be
know
quiet?
fuck's
her
sake.
view on Roe v. Wade. You
I
don't
don't
know her
know.
view.
Everyone does, you
All right, let's
fucking
talk about it.
clown.
We got a lot to unpack here, gentlemen. We got a lot of time. So on health care, and then we'll come back to Roe v. Wade.
All right.
Mr. President, the Supreme Court will hear a case a week after the election in which the Trump administration, along with 18 state attorneys general, are seeking to overturn
That's right.
Obamacare, to end Obamacare. You have spent the last...
Because they
If-
want to
if
give
I-
good
if I-
health care.
If I may ask
Go
my
ahead.
question, sir.
Good health care.
Over the last 4 years, you have promised to repeal and replace Obamacare, but you have never in these 4 years come up with a plan, a comprehensive plan
Yes,
to
I have.
replace Obamacare.
Of course I have.
Well,
I got rid of the individual mandate.
I'm going to give you an
Excuse me.
opportunity.
I got rid of the individual mandate, which was a
That is
big
not a
chunk of
comprehensive
Obamacare. That
plan.
is absolutely a big thing. That was the worst
I
part of
didn't ask
Obamacare.
Sir,
Chris,
you're
that was the
debating him,
worst
not
part of
me.
Obamacare.
Let me ask my question.
Well, I'll ask Joe. The individual mandate was the most unpopular
Mr. Vice Pre-
aspect of
Mr.
Obamacare. I
President,
got rid of it.
I'd like you
and we
to-
will
Mr.
protect people
President,
with
I'm the
pre-existing
moderator of this
conditions.
debate, and I would like you to let me ask my question, and then you can answer your
Go ahead.
question. you, in the course of these 4 years, have never come up with a comprehensive plan to replace Obamacare. And just this last Thursday, you signed a largely symbolic executive order to protect people with pre-existing conditions 5 days before this debate. So my question, sir, is what is the Trump healthcare
All
plan?
right. Well, first of all, I guess I'm debating you, not him, but that's okay. I'm not surprised. Let me just tell you something. That there's nothing symbolic. I'm cutting drug prices. I'm going with favored nations, which no president has the courage to do because you're going against big pharma. Drug prices will be coming down 80 or 90%. You could have done it during your 47-year period in government, but you didn't do it. Nobody's done it. So we're cutting health care.
What about
All of the
pre-existing
things that
conditions?
we've done,
He has not cut
insulin. I
healthcare.
give you an example. Insulin. It was destroying families, destroying people because I'm getting it for so cheap. It's like water. You want to know the truth. So cheap. Take a look at all of the drugs that what we're doing, prescription drug prices. We're going to allow our governors now to go to other countries to buy drugs because
When in
they
fact-
pay just a tiny
As
fraction.
I say,
of
this
what
is
we do.
open discussion.
No,
Let
but
me
this
ask
is
you about,
big- this
you'll
is
be happy,
big stuff.
sir. You'll be happy. I'm about to pick up on one of your points to ask the vice president, which is he points out that you would like to add a public option to Obamacare. And
Yes.
the argument that he makes and other Republicans make is that that is going to end private insurance.
It is
and
not.
will,
It's called an option.
I
you
ask you the question. It will
Not what your
end.
party says, by the way.
It will end private insurance and create a government takeover of health care.
It does not. It's only for those people who are so poor they qualify for Medicaid. They can get that free in most states, except governors who want to deny people who are poor Medicaid.
Thank you.
Anyone who qualifies for Medicare would, Medicaid would automatically be enrolled in the public option. The vast majority of the American people would still not be in that option. Number one.
Joe, you
Number
agreed
two.
with Bernie
Number-
Sanders,
I-
who's
I
far
did-
left, on the manifesto,
When
we
you-
call it.
when
And that
manifest-
gives you socialized medicine.
Look, hey,
Are you
I'm
saying
not
you
going to
didn't
listen to
agree?
him. The fact of the matter is, I beat Bernie Sanders.
Not by much.
I beat him a whole hell of a lot. I'm here.
Not by
I'm here
much.
standing facing you, old buddy.
Pocahontas would have left
Well,
2
I
days
tell
early.
you-
You would have lost every
Oh, wow.
Super Tuesday. You got
Look,
very lucky.
here's the deal. I got very lucky. I'm going to get very lucky tonight as well. And tonight I'm going to make sure because
With what?
here's the deal. Here's the deal. The fact is that everything he's saying so far is simply a lie. I'm not
Yes!
here to call out his lies. Everybody knows he's a liar.
Fucking
I
A.
just want to
Hey,
make sure.
Joe, you're the liar.
I want to make sure.
Graduated last in your
No,
class.
you're the
First year
liar.
class.
I want to make
Mr.
sure.
President, can you let him finish, sir?
No, he doesn't know how to do that. He has,
You'd be
you know,
surprised.
you pick
You'd be surprised.
the
Go ahead,
wrong
Joe.
guy,
Go,
the wrong
go,
night
Joe.
at the wrong time.
Listen, you agreed with
Here's the
Bernie
deal.
Sanders to the
The
manifesto.
whole idea.
Let
Now you're
him,
disavowing it.
There is no manifesto, number
please let
one.
him speak, Mr. President.
Number two,
You just lost the left.
number two,
You just lost the left. You agreed with Bernie Sanders on a plan.
folks,
Absolutely agreed
Folks, do you
to,
have
and
any
under that
idea
plan,
what
you have
this clown's
socialized,
doing?
They call it
Mr.
Medicare.
Oh.
Socialized medicine.
Mr.
well, I tell
President,
you what, he is not for any help for people needing health care because
Bernie?
because he in fact already has cost 10 million people their health care that they had from their employers because of his recession. Number one. Number two,
yeah.
there are 20 million people getting health care through Obamacare now that he wants to take it away. He won't ever look you in the eye and say that's what he wants to do. Take it away.
No, I want to give them
Number
better
three.
health care at a
But-
much lower price
But,
because
and by the way, he
Obamacare
doesn't
is
know
no
how.
good.
He doesn't know how
I've
to do
already
that.
fixed it.
He has never
I've
offered
already
a
fixed
plan.
it to an extent.
He has never
Obamacare,
done a
as you
single
might
thing.
know, but probably don't. Obamacare
gentlemen, you
is
realize
no
if you're
good,
both
Joe.
speaking at the
It's no
same
good,
time,
and it's too expensive.
let the president, go ahead, sir.
Obamacare is no good. We made it better. And I had a choice to make very early on. We took away the individual mandate. We guarantee pre-existing conditions. We took away the individual mandate. Listen, this is the way it is. And that destroyed that. They shouldn't even call it Obamacare. Then I had a choice to make. Do I let my people run it really well or badly? If I run it badly, they'll probably blame him, but they'll blame me. But more importantly, I want to help people. Okay. I said, you got to run it so well.
That's what he's
And I
known for.
just had a meeting with them. They said the problem is no matter how well you run Obamacare, it's a disaster. It's too expensive.
I got you.
Premiums
I
are
got
too
it.
high, and
That's
it
what his
doesn't work.
people- that's what his
So
people said.
we do want to
No,
get rid of it.
It's
Chris,
an
we
open
want to get rid of it.
I
and
understand
give
it, sir,
something
but I have
that's
to
cheaper
give
and
you
better.
roughly equal time.
Good.
Please let the vice president talk.
Good.
He has no plan for health care.
Of course we do.
Please.
He sends out wishful thinking. He has executive orders that have no power. He hasn't lowered drug costs for anybody. He's been promising a health care plan since he got elected. He has none, like almost everything else he talks about. He does not have a plan. He doesn't have a plan. And the fact is, this man doesn't know what he's talking about.
All right.
He's
I have one final question for you,
Sure.
Mr. Vice President. If Senate Republicans, we were talking originally about the Supreme Court here, if Senate Republicans go ahead and confirm Justice Barrett, there has been talk about ending the filibuster or even packing the court, adding to the 9 justices there. You call this a distraction by the president, but in fact, it wasn't brought up by the president. It was brought up by some of your Democratic colleagues in the Congress. So my question to you is, you have refused in the past to talk about it. Are you willing to tell the American people tonight whether or not you will support either ending the filibuster or packing the court?
Whatever position I take on that, that'll become the issue. The issue is the American people should speak. You should go out and vote. You're in voting now. Vote and let your senators know how strongly you feel. Vote now.
You're gonna pack the
Make
court?
sure you, in fact, let people know
He doesn't want
you're a
to answer the
senator.
question.
I'm not going to answer the question
Why
because
wouldn't you answer that
because
question?
the
You wanna
question
put a lot
is
of
the
new
question
Supreme Court
is
justice,
the
radical
question-
left.
Will you
Who
shut
is
up,
on?
man?
Listen, who is on your list, Joe?
This
Who's
is
on your
so
list?
Steady, Joe.
I think
This
we've
is
ended
so
this.
He's going to pack the
unprecedented.
court.
We have
I'm not going to give a list.
We have ended this segment. We're going to move on to the second segment.
That was really a productive segment, wasn't it?
Keep
Keep yapping, man.
They understand, Joe.
They sure did.
47
Keep
years, you've done
yapping.
nothing. They understand.
All right. The second subject is COVID-19, which is an awfully serious subject. So let's try to be serious about it. We have had more than 7 million cases of coronavirus in the United States, and more than 200,000 people have died. Even after we produce a vaccine, experts say that it could be months or even years before we come back to anything approaching normal. My question for both of you is, based on what you have said and done so far and what you have said you would do starting in 2021, why should the American people trust you more than your opponent to deal with this public health crisis going forward? In this case, the question goes to you first, sir. 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Good luck. 200,000 dead. As you said, over 7 million infected in the United States. We, in fact, have 5%, 4% of the world's population, 20% of the deaths. 40,000 people a day are contracting COVID. In addition to that, about between 750 and 1,000 people a day are dying. When he was presented with that number, he said, it is what it is. Well, it is what it is because you are who you are. That's why it is. The president has no plan. He hasn't laid out anything. He knew all the way back in February how serious this crisis was. He knew it was a deadly disease. What did he do? He's on tape as acknowledging he knew it. He said he didn't tell us or give people a warning of it because he didn't want to panic the American people. You don't panic. He panicked. In addition to that, what did he do? He went in and we were insisting that the Chinese, the people we had on the ground in China should be able to go to Wuhan and determine for themselves how dangerous this was. He did not even ask Xi to do that. He told us what a great job Xi was doing. He said we owe him a debt of gratitude for being so transparent with us. And what did he do then? He then did nothing. He waited and waited and waited. He still doesn't have a plan.
Wrong.
I laid out
Sir,
back
it's
in
just 2
March
minutes.
exactly
it's so
what we
wrong.
should be doing. And I laid out again in July what we should be doing. We should be providing all the protective gear possible. We should be providing the money the House has passed in order to be able to go out and get people the help they need to keep their businesses open schools. It costs a lot of money. You should get out of your bunker and get out of the sand trap and get in your golf course and go in the Oval Office and bring together the Democrats and Republicans and fund what needs to be done now to save lives.
So if
Wait,
we
wait.
would have listened to
You
you,
have 2 minutes, sir.
if we would have listened to you, the country would have been left wide open. Millions of people would have died, not 200,000. And one person is too much. It's China's fault. It should have never happened. They stopped it from going in, but it was China's fault. And by the way, when you talk about numbers, you don't know how many people died in China. You don't know how many people died in Russia. You don't know how many people died in India. They don't exactly give you a straight count, just so you understand. But if you look at what we've done, I closed it and you said he's xenophobic. He's a racist and he's xenophobic because you didn't think I should have closed our country. Wait a minute.
It says 2 minutes.
You didn't think we should have closed our country because you thought it was terrible. You wouldn't have closed it for another 2 months. By my doing it early, in fact, Dr. Fauci said President Trump saved thousands of
Oh shit! Did we lose the
lives.
feed?
Meant
Oh.
President Trump did a phenomenal job. We worked with the governor. Oh, really? Go take a look. The governors said I did a phenomenal job. Most of them said that. In fact, people that would not be necessarily on my side said that. President Trump did a phenomenal job. We did. We got the gowns. We got the masks. We made the ventilators. You wouldn't have made ventilators. And now we're weeks away from a vaccine. We're doing therapeutics already. Fewer people are dying when they get sick. Far fewer people are dying. We've done a great job. The only thing I haven't done a good job, and that's because of the fake news. No matter what you say to them, they give you bad press on it. It's just fake news. They give you good press. They give me bad press because
you're a
that's the
fucking
way it
piece
is,
of shit.
unfortunately. But let me just tell you something. I don't care. I've gotten used to it. But I'll tell you, Joe, you could never have done the job that we did. You don't have it in your blood. You could have never done that job.
I know how to do the job. I know how to get the job
Well, you didn't do
done.
very well in swine flu. H1N1, you were a disaster. Your own chief of staff said you were a disaster.
14,000 people died, not 200,000. There was
A
no
very-
economic recession.
Sir, you made a
There was
point.
far
now.
less
there was no
lethal
recession.
disease,
You made a
Michael.
point. Let him answer.
And there was no one, we didn't shut down the economy. This is his economy he's shut down. The reason it's shut down is because, look, you folks at home, how many of you got up this morning and had an empty chair at the kitchen table because someone died of COVID? How many of you were in a situation where you lost your mom or dad and you couldn't even speak to them? You had a nurse holding a phone up so you could, in fact, say goodbye.
You would have lost far
How
more
many
people.
people?
Far
That is-
more people.
And
You would have been
And by the way,
months late.
your own
You were
his
months
his
behind.
Chris
own-
Wallace,
his
do your
own
fucking
CD
job.
CDC director says we could lose as many as another 200,000 people between now and the end of the year. And he held up, he said, if we just wear a mask, we can save half those numbers, just a mask. And by the way, in terms of the whole notion of a vaccine, we're for a vaccine, but I don't trust him at all, nor do you. I know you don't. What we trust is a scientist.
You don't
we
trust
Dr.
Johnson
Fauci.
& Johnson, Pfizer?
And
Okay,
by the way,
gentlemen,
and then-
let me move on to questions about the future because you both have touched on two of the questions I'm going to ask. Focusing on the future first, President Trump, you have repeatedly either contradicted or been at odds with some of your government's own top scientists. The week before last, the head of the Centers for Disease Control, Dr. Redfield, said it would be summer before the vaccine would become generally available to the public. You said that he was confused and mistaken. Those were your two words.
Yeah.
But Dr. Slaoui, the head of your Operation Warp Speed, has said exactly the same thing. Are they both wrong?
Well, I've spoken to the companies and we can have it a lot sooner. It's a very political thing because people like this would rather make it political than save lives. It is a very political thing. I've spoken to Pfizer. I've spoken to all of the people that you have to speak to. We have great Moderna, Johnson & Johnson, and others. They can go faster than that by a lot. Become very political because the left, or I don't know if I call
So
them
you're
left, I don't know
suggesting
what I
that
call
the
them.
head of your Operation Warp Speed, Dr. Slaoui?
I disagree with him. Yeah, no, I disagree with both of them. And he didn't say that. He said it could be there, but it could also be much sooner. I had him in my office 2 days ago.
He talked about the summer, sir, before it's generally available. Just like
He said
Dr.
it's a
Redfield.
possibility that we'll have the answer before November 1st. It could also
I'm
be
talking about
after.
when
The
it's
answer
generally
doesn't mean the
available.
vaccine.
No, we're going to deliver it right away. We have the military all set up logistically. They're all set up. We have our military that delivers soldiers, and they can do 200,000 a day.
He's
They're
making this
going to
up.
be
This is
delivering
the same man
It's
who
all
told
set
you
up.
by Easter this would be gone away.
Nailed it.
By the warm weather, it'd be gone. Miraculous, like a miracle. And by the way, maybe you could inject some bleach in your arm, and that would take care of it. This is the
That
same
was
man.
said sarcastically,
That was
you
him.
know that.
Oh,
That was said
bullshit.
sarcastic.
And so here's the deal. This man is talking about a vaccine. Every serious company is talking about maybe having a vaccine done by the end of the year. But the distribution of that vaccine will not occur until sometime beginning or the middle of next year to get it out, if we get the vaccine. And pray God we will. Pray God we will.
Mr. Vice President, I want to pick up
You'll have
on
the
that.
vaccine
I
sooner
want to
than
pick
that.
up on this question, though. You say the public can
P.S.
trust
his
the
healthcare plan
scientists,
is coming
but
in 2
they
weeks.
can't trust President Trump. In fact, you said that again tonight. Your running mate, Senator Harris, goes further, saying the public health experts, quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed. Given the fact that polls already show that people are concerned about the vaccine and are reluctant to take it, are you and your running mate, Senator Harris, contributing to that fear?
No more than the question you just asked him. You pointed out he puts pressure and disagrees with his own scientists.
But you're saying
Everybody
you can't, or
knows.
Senator
And
Harris is saying you
no,
can't trust the scientists.
No. You can trust the scientists. She didn't say that. You can't trust.
She said the public health
Did say
experts,
that.
quote, will be muzzled, will be suppressed.
You can't trust the CDC.
That's what he's going to try to do. But there's millions of scientists. There's thousands of scientists out there, like here at this great hospital, that don't work for him. Their job doesn't depend on him. That's not. They're the people. And by
I
the way,
spoke to the
and Fauci,
scientists that are in charge.
by the way,
They will have
and
the vaccine very soon.
Let him finish.
do you believe for a moment what he's telling you in light of all the lies he's told you about the whole issue relating to COVID? He still hasn't even acknowledged that he knew this was happening, knew how dangerous it was going to be back in February, and he didn't even tell you. He's on record as saying it. He panicked or he just looked at the stock market, one of the two, because guess what? A lot of people died, and a lot more are going to die unless he gets a lot smarter, a lot quicker.
So-
Mr. President?
Did you use the word smart?
I'm the
You
smartest
said you
guy.
went to
I'm
Delaware
so
State, but
smart.
you forgot the name of your college. You didn't go to Delaware State. You graduated either the lowest or almost the lowest in your class. Don't ever use the word smart with me. Don't ever use that word.
Give me a
Oh,
break.
Because you
use
know
it
what?
again
There's
quickly.
nothing smart about you. Joe. 47 years you've done nothing.
Let's have this debate.
And if
We'll
you
see
would have
who's-
had, let me just tell you something, Joe.
No,
If you would have had the charge of what I was put through, I had to close the greatest economy in the history of our country. And by the way, now it's being built again.
You see,
and
he-
it's
We're going to
going
get
up
to the
fast.
economy in the next segment, sir.
Okay.
It's going up fast. I look
Okay.
forward to talking.
When it comes to how the virus has been handled so far, the two of you have taken very different approaches, and this is going to affect how the virus is handled going forward by whichever of you ends up becoming the next president. I want to quickly go through several of those. Reopenings. Vice President Biden, you have been much more reluctant than President Trump about reopening the economy and schools. Why, sir?
Because he doesn't have a plan. If I were running, I know what the plan is. You've got to provide these businesses the ability to have the money to be able to reopen with the PPE as well as with the sanitation they need. You have to
Tell
provide
that to
them
Nancy
plastic.
Pelosi.
Well, he's just shush for a minute.
Tell it to
The-
Nancy
the-
Pelosi. And Schumer,
by the
Brian
way,
Chuck.
Nancy Pelosi and Schumer, they have a plan. He won't even meet with them. The Republicans won't meet with the
Okay.
Senate.
But-
And he sits on his golf course. And well, I mean, literally,
Okay.
think about it.
You probably
All right,
play
think
more than
about
I
it.
do, Joe.
What about this question of reopenings and the fact
Well, he wants to shut down this country,
Oh.
and I want to keep it open. And we
You
did
ju-
a
he
great
just
thing by
admitted
shutting
he
it
shut
down.
it down.
Wait a minute,
Let
Joe.
him
Let me
finish,
shut
sir.
you down for a second, Joe, just for 1 second. He wants to shut down the country. We just went through it. We had to because we didn't know anything about the disease. Now we found that elderly people with heart problems and diabetes and different problems are very, very vulnerable. We learned a lot. Young children aren't. Even younger people aren't. We've learned a lot. But he wants to shut it down. More people will be hurt by continuing. If you look at Pennsylvania, if you look at certain states that have been shut down, they have Democrat governors all. One of the reasons they're shut down is because they want to keep it shut down until after the election
Fuck
on
off.
November
I want to
3rd.
move on to another
Because
subject.
it's a
I want to move
political
on to
thing.
another
I
subject.
gotta
But
respect
those,
I
but
wanna
those
move-
states,
gentlemen, I
those
wanna move
states
on to
are
another
not
subject.
doing well that are shut down
Which is
right
gotta
now.
respond to that.
President
shut
Trump,
down the
you
whole
have
country.
begun to increasingly question the effectiveness of masks as a disease preventer. And in fact, recently you have cited the issue of waiters touching their masks and touching plates. Are you questioning
No, I think
the
masks
efficacy
are
of
okay. You have
masks?
to understand, if you look, I mean, I have a mask right here. I put a mask on, when I think I need it. Tonight, as an example, everybody's had a test and you've had social distancing and all of the things that you have to, but I
Just
wear
like your
masks
rally.
when needed. When needed, I wear masks.
Okay, let me ask.
I don't wear masks like him. Every time you see him, he's got a mask.
I
He
guess
could
they
be
weren't
speaking
needed when he toured a facility
200
that was
feet away
making
from me. He showed
PPE.
up with the biggest mask I've ever seen. I will say
Vice
this.
President Biden, go ahead, sir.
Look, the way to open businesses is give them the wherewithal to be able to open. We provided money. The
But
Congress.
I was asking you, sir, about masks.
Well, masks make a big difference. His own head of the CDC said if we just wore masks between now, everybody wore masks and social distance between now and January, we'd probably save up to 100,000 lives. It matters.
And they've also
It
said the
matters.
opposite. They've
And
also
What?
said.
no
What?
serious person said the opposite.
Jesus.
No
Well, look,
serious.
all right, I
look
wanna
at
ask
Dr.
you-
Fauci. Dr. Fauci said the
He
opposite.
did not
I
say
want to
the
ask you, we got a
said
little
very
bit more than a
strongly,
minute left in this
masks
segment.
are not good. Then he changed his mind. He said masks are good.
I
I'm
wanna
okay
ask-
with masks.
I
I'm
want to
not
ask you
fighting
both about
masks.
one last subject because your different approaches has even affected the way that you have campaigned. President Trump, you're holding large rallies with crowds packed together, thousands of people. Outside, yes, sir.
Now
Agreed.
that you lost somebody.
Vice President Biden, you are holding much smaller events with
Because nobody will show up.
people with.
What's
Wait.
true? Nobody shows up to his rallies.
All right. In any case, why you holding the big rallies? Why you not? You goes first, sir.
Because people want to hear what I have to say. I mean,
But are you
I've
not
done a
worried
great
about it
job
spreading
as a
disease?
president, and I'll have 35,000 people show up at airports. We use airports.
Are you
for
not worried
hangars, and
about
we
the
have a
disease
lot of
issues,
people.
sir?
Well, so far we have had no problem whatsoever. It's outside. That's a big difference. according to the
Herman Cain
experts.
begs to fucking
We've got
differ.
outside. We have tremendous
Tell Herman Cain
crowds,
that.
as you see. I mean,
Oh.
and literally on 24 hours notice. And Joe does the circles and has 3 people someplace.
Okay.
By the way, did you see
Gotcha.
one of the last big rallies he had? And a reporter came up to him to ask him a question. He said, no, stand back. Put on your mask. Put on a mask. Have you been tested? I'm way far away from those other people. That's what he said. I can't, I'm going to be okay. He's not worried about you. He's not worried about the people out there breathing in one another.
We've had no
cheek
negative
to
effect.
jowl. No negative effect.
We've had no negative effect. And we've had
Herman
35,
Cain.
40,000
All right.
people
You wanna-
stand at these rallies.
Just
Yes.
quickly finish up because I want to move on to our next.
Yes, I would. He's been totally irresponsible the way in which he has handled the social distancing and people wearing masks, basically encouraged them not to.
All right.
He's a fool on this.
If you could get the crowds, you would have done the same thing. But you can't. Nobody cares.
Gentlemen, can we move on to the
Nobody cares.
gentlemen? Can we move on to the economy?
Yes.
The economy is, I think it's fair to say, recovering faster than expected from the shutdown.
Much
This-
faster.
In the second quarter, the unemployment rate fell to 8.4% last month. The Federal Reserve says the hit to growth, which is going to be there, is not going to be nearly as big as they had expected. President Trump, you say we are in a V-shaped recovery. Vice President Biden, you say it's more of a K-shape. What difference does that mean to the American people in terms of the economy? President Trump, in this segment, you go first.
So we built the greatest economy in history. We closed it down because of the China plague. When the plague came in, we closed it down, which was very hard psychologically to do. He didn't think we should close it down, and he was wrong. And again, 2 million
Just
people would
making
be
shit
dead
up.
now instead of still 204,000 people is too much. One person is too much. Should have never happened from China. But what happened is we closed it down, and now we're reopening, and we're doing record business. We had 10.4 million people in a 4-month period that we've put back into the workforce. That's a record the likes of which nobody's ever seen before. And he wants to close down he will shut it down again. He will destroy this country. You know, a lot of people between drugs and alcohol and depression, when you start shutting it down, you take a look at what's happening at some of your Democrat-run states where they
for
have these
fuck's sake.
tough shutdowns. And I'm telling you, it's because they don't want to open it. One of them came out last week. You saw that. Oh, we're going to open up on November 9th. Why November 9th? Because it's after the election. They think they're hurting us by keeping them closed. They're hurting people. People know what to do. They can social distance. They can wash their hands. They can wear masks. They can do whatever they want. But they got to open these states up. When you look at North Carolina, when you look, and these governors are under siege, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and a couple of others, you got to open these states up. It's not fair. You're talking about almost it's like being in prison. And you look at what's going on with divorce, look at what's going on with alcoholism and drugs. It's a very, very sad thing. And he'll close down the whole country. This guy will close down the whole country and destroy our country. Our country is coming back incredibly well, setting records as it does it. We don't need somebody to come in and say, let's shut it down.
All right. Your 2 minutes, sir. We're now moved to you. As I said, posing the question, the president says it's a V-shaped recovery. You say it's a K-shaped recovery. What's the difference?
The difference is millionaires and billionaires like him in the middle of the COVID crisis have done very well. Billionaires have made another $300 billion because of his profligate tax proposal, and he only focused on the market. But you folks at home, you folks living in Scranton and Claymont and all the small towns and working class towns in America, how well are you doing? This guy paid a total of $750 in taxes.
Sir, wait, no, sir, it's
It's
just
the wrong step.
Yeah, I understand. You've agreed to the 2 minutes, so please let him have it.
Do I get my time back? The fact is that he has, in fact, worked on this in a way that he's going to be the first president of the United States to leave office having fewer jobs in his administration than when he became president. Fewer jobs than when he became president. First one in American history. Secondly, the people who have lost their jobs are those people who have been on the front lines, those people who have been saving our lives, those people who have been out there dying, people who've been putting themselves in the way to make sure that we could all try to make it. And the idea that he is insisting that we go forward and open when you have almost half the states in America with a significant increase in COVID deaths and COVID cases in the United States of America. And he wants to open it up more. Why does he want to open it up? Why doesn't he take care of the American? You can't fix the economy until you fix the COVID crisis. And he has no intention of doing anything about making it better for you all at home in terms of your health and your safety. Schools, why aren't schools open? Because it costs a lot of money to open them safely. You know, they were going to give, his administration was going to give the teachers and school students masks. And then they decided, no, couldn't do that because it's not a national emergency. Not a national emergency. They've done nothing to help small businesses. Nothing. They're closing. 1 in 6 is now gone. He ought to get on the job and take care of the needs of the American people so we can open safely.
All right, your time is up, sir. We are going to get to.
I have to respond to that.
Well, you both had 2 minutes, sir.
Excuse me, he made a statement.
Excuse me.
People want their schools. No, people want their schools open. They don't want to be shut down. They don't want their state shut down. They want their
Which is
residents.
why we're not
I look
setting
at
the
New York.
masks.
It's so sad what's happening in New York. It's almost like a ghost town. And I'm not sure it can ever recover what they've done in New York. People want their places open. They want to get back to their lives.
People
They'll
want
be
to be
careful,
safe.
but they want their schools open.
People want
I'm
to
the
be
one that
safe.
brought back football. By the way, I brought back Big Ten football. It was me, and I'm very happy to do it. And
All right,
people of Ohio are very proud of it.
Dale's going to
and
have a fact
We're
check
gonna
for that one because it's absolutely
We're
awesome.
going to get to your economic plans going forward.
Hey,
in a
Greg,
moment.
do you
But
know
first,
that
Mr.
I
President,
invented NASA?
As you well know, there's a new report.
I
that
did.
in
I built
2016, the year
spaceships,
You were elected
so-
president, and 2017, your first year as president, that you paid $750 a year in federal income tax each of those years. I know that you pay a lot of other taxes, but I'm asking you the specific question. Is it true that you paid $750 in federal income taxes each of those 2 years?
I paid millions of dollars in taxes, millions of dollars of
Not answering
income
the
tax.
question.
And let me just tell you, there was a story in one of the papers.
Show us your tax
I paid
returns.
$38 million one year. I paid $27 million
Show us your tax
one year.
returns.
I went. You'll see it as soon as it's finished. You'll see it.
Oh,
You know, what you wanna do,
bullshit.
Go to the Board of Elections. There's a 118-page or so report that says everything I have, every bank I have, I'm totally under leveraged because the assets are
That's
extremely good.
horseshit.
And we have a I built a
Sir,
great
I'm asking
company.
you a specific question, which
But
is.
let me tell you.
I understand all of that.
Release your
I
tax
understand all of
return.
that.
But let
No, Mr. President,
Go ahead.
I'm asking you a question. Will you tell us how much you paid in federal income taxes in 2016 and 2017?
Millions of dollars.
You paid
Prove
millions
it.
of dollars.
Millions of dollars.
So
yes.
not 750.
Millions of dollars. And you'll get to see it. And you'll get to
When?
see it.
When?
Let me just-
Exactly. In
Chris,
July.
let me just tell you something that it was the tax laws. I don't want to pay tax.
Oh,
Before
God.
I came here, I was a private developer. I was a private business people. Like every other private person, unless they're stupid, they go through the laws, and that's what it is. He passed a tax bill that gave us all these privileges for depreciation and for tax credits. We build a building and we get tax credits like the hotel on Pennsylvania Avenue. You get a
Okay.
massive, which by the way, was given to me by the Obama administration, if you can believe that. Now the man got
Yeah,
fired
no,
right after that happened, but
Vice
that's
President Biden, you want to respond?
Yeah, I do
Obama
want to
got fired?
Look,
Yeah.
the tax
code
He got fired.
made him.
He chose not to kick your ass and run for a third term.
He pays less tax than a school teacher on the money a school teacher makes, is because of him he says he's smart because he can take advantage of the tax code. And he does take advantage of the tax code. That's why I'm going to eliminate the Trump tax cuts. And I'm going to eliminate those tax cuts and make sure that we invest in the people who in fact need the help. People out there need help.
But why didn't you do it over the last 25 years?
Because you weren't
Why didn't you
president.
do it over
Because
the
you
last
weren't
25
president
years?
screwing
No,
things
no.
up.
You were a senator.
The worst
You were a
president
vice-
America has ever had.
Hey,
Come
Joe,
on.
let me just say it, Joe. I've done more in 47 months. I've done more than you've done in 47 years, Joe. We've done things that you never even thought of doing,
Okay,
including
gentlemen.
fixing the broken military that you gave me, including
let's-
taking care
We're
of your
talking,
vets.
Mr. President, we're talking about the economy. I'd like to ask you about your plans going forward because, Vice President, your economic plan,
Jareen.
if you were to be
Yes,
elected president, focuses a lot on big government, big taxes, big spending. I want to focus first on the taxes. You propose more than $4 trillion over a decade in new taxes on individuals making more than $400,000 a year and on corporations. President Trump says that that kind of an increase in taxes is going to hurt the economy as it's just coming out of a recession.
Well, just take a look at what is the analysis done by Wall Street firms. Points out that my economic plan would create 7 million more jobs than his in 4 years, number one. And number two, it would create an additional $1 trillion in economic growth because it would be about buying American. That we're going to make this federal government spend $600 billion a year on everything from ships to steel to buildings and the like. And under my proposal, we're going to make sure that every penny of that has to be made by a company.
But
in
respectfully,
America.
sir, I'm talking about taxes, not spending.
By the way, I'm going to eliminate a significant number of the tax. I'm going to make the corporate tax 28%. It shouldn't be 21%. You have 91 companies, in the Fortune 500 who don't pay a single penny in tax, making billions of dollars.
Why didn't you do it
Billions
before
of
when you were vice president with Obama?
Because you, in fact, passed that. That was
That's right.
your
I got
tax
it-
proposal.
I got it done. And you know what happened?
you got it done.
Our economy boomed like it's never boomed.
The economy is
Mr.
busted.
President,
Let me finish.
Mr. President, let me pick up on that. You would continue your free market approach, lower taxes, more deregulation, correct?
Not lower tax for the American people.
But let me.
Excuse me.
But in Obama's, you talk about the economy booming. It turns out that in Obama's final 3 years as president, more jobs were created, 1.5 million more jobs than in the first 3 years of your presidency.
They had the slowest recovery economic recovery since 1929. It was the slowest recovery.
Yes, why? Because another
Over
Republican
something
broke
that was
it.
Down here, all you had to do is turn on the lights and you pick
The
up a lot.
deepest
But they had
recovery, not the slowest.
economic recovery since 1929. Let me tell you about the stock market. When the stock market goes up, that means jobs. It also
It
means
doesn't.
401ks. If you got in, if you ever became president with your ideas, you want to terminate my taxes, I'll tell you what, you'll lose half of the companies that have poured in here will leave, and plenty
Half
of
of the
companies that are
companies-
already here, they'll leave for
hardly any
other
companies
places.
have
They will
poured in
leave,
here.
and you will have a
Have it.
depression, the likes of which you've never seen.
Look,
Mr.
we
Vice President.
inherited the worst recession short of a depression in American history. I was asked to bring it back. We were able to have an economic recovery that created the jobs you're talking about. We handed him a booming economy. He blew it.
It wasn't
He blew it.
booming.
He
It
blew it.
wasn't booming.
It
It was the weakest
Well,
recovery
sir, is it
since
fair to, wait, is it fair to,
1929.
is
doesn't
it fair
make
to say
any
he blew it
sense.
when, in
When
fact, it was
COVID came.
when there was record low unemployment
Yeah.
before COVID?
Yeah, but because what he did, even before COVID, manufacturing went in the hole. Manufacturing went in the hole.
Excuse
number
me,
one.
Chris. Wait.
Number two.
Chris,
Number three.
They said it would take, no, you're a number two.
No.
Chris, they said it would
This
take a
guy is-
miracle to bring back manufacturing. I brought back 700,000 jobs. They brought back nothing. They gave
That's
up on
such
manufacturing.
bullshit.
We
Part
did
of my
not agree.
standard fare.
I'm the guy that
He
brought
totally
back
gave
the
up on
automobile industry.
manufacturing.
All right, let him.
We brought back, I was asked to bring back Chrysler and General Motors. We brought them back right here in the state of Ohio and Michigan. He blew it. They're gone. He blew it. And in fact, They're going.
Ohio had the best year it's ever had last year. Michigan had the best year they've ever had.
That is not
Many
true.
car companies came in from Germany, from Japan, went to Michigan, went to
They're
Ohio.
not having that.
And they
Mr.
didn't
Vice-
come
wait,
in
wait,
with
wait,
you.
Mr. Vice President, go ahead.
And so you take a look at what he's actually done. He's done very little. His trade deals are the same way. He talks about these great trade deals. You know, he talks about the art of the deal. China's perfected the art of the steal. We have a higher deficit with China now than we did before. We have the highest trade deficit
China
with
ate
Mexico.
your lunch,
All
down
right, gentlemen,
18%.
in-
China ate your lunch, Joe, and no wonder your son goes in and he takes out billions of dollars. Takes out billions of dollars to manage. He makes millions of dollars. And also,
Simply
while we're
not
at it,
true.
why is
Simply
it, just out of curiosity, the mayor of Moscow's wife gave your son $3.5 million.
That's
What
not
did he
true.
do to deserve it?
That
What
is
did he do with Burisma
none
to
of that-
deserve
Wait, wait,
$183,000?
None
You've
of
asked your
that is
question, let
true.
him answer.
None of that is true.
Oh, really? He didn't
Totally,
get
But no,
$3.5
hey,
million?
Mr. President,
It's
Mr.
totally-
President, please.
totally
ask the question.
discredited. Totally discredited. And by the way,
Well, wait, he
let's
didn't get
No, no.
$3.5 million, Joe?
Mr. Vice,
He got
Mr.
$3.5 million.
President,
that is not true.
Oh, really?
Mr.
Oh,
President,
But, Mr.
it's an open discussion, please.
Now,
It's a fact.
Well,
There's- it
you
is
have
not
raised an
fact.
issue. Let the
It's been
Vice
totally
President answer.
discredited.
Did
There was a
Burisma pay him
report.
$183,000 a month with no experience in energy?
Mr.
Look, with
President,
no
My
job?
son did nothing wrong at Burisma.
I think he did.
and
Mr.
the only
President,
guy that
let
did
him
something-
answer.
He doesn't want to let me answer because he knows I have the truth. His position has been
Boom.
totally, thoroughly
By
discredited.
who?
And you
The media.
By everybody. Well, by the
By the
media,
media,
by our
because they refuse to
allies, by
talk
the
about it
World
because they're
Bank,
embarrassed.
by everyone has discredited. Matter
Mr.
of fact, even the people
President,
who
please stop.
testified under oath.
So let me
under
ask you
oath,
this,
and
Joe.
under
No,
oath,
go ahead, Mr. I'm listening to
even the
you.
people under.
He got $3.5
he
million from
testified-
Moscow.
He testified under oath in his administration.
Moscow
said,
Tower.
I did my job and I did it very well.
Oh,
I did
really?
it
I'd like to know who
honorably.
they are.
Well, I'll give you the list
I'll
of the
fire
people who
them.
No,
testified.
no, go ahead, sir.
Sure, you've already fired most of them because they did a good job.
Some people do. With you,
Go
they
ahead.
say
You get
here's
the,
the
wait a
deal.
minute. You get the final word, Mr.
Well, it's hard to get any word in with this clown. Excuse me, this.
Hey,
this
let me just
person.
say, Joe,
No. I'm
No.
Mr. President.
$3.5
I'm Mr.
million,
President.
Joe.
That is simply.
Why did
not
he
true.
deserve $3.5 million
It
from
did-
Moscow?
Look, here's the deal. We want to talk about families and ethics. I don't want to do that. I mean, his family we could talk about all night. His family's
My
already.
family,
No, let him go.
my family
already
lost
wrote-
a fortune by
Okay.
coming down and helping
Go
us
ahead.
with
Go ahead,
government.
sir.
And that's
Every-
such a.
they're right
That's
here.
it, Mr.
That's such
President.
Every
a great.
single one of them lost.
This
a
is not
fortune
about
President.
my
coming and
family or
helping
his
us with
family. It's
government.
about your family,
They
the
didn't buy
American
$3.5
people.
million
He
for
doesn't.
nothing.
That's not true. It doesn't want to talk about what you need. You, the American people. It's about you. That's what we're talking about.
you
here.
should
All right, that's
Not
the end
about
of
here.
that's the end of the
Shouldn't have
segment.
taken the money.
We're moving on.
He didn't take them.
Well,
Vice
it's a very-
President,
but Chris,
no,
can I be honest? It's a very important
Try to be
question.
honest.
No,
He
I
stood
did-
up
Try to be honest.
The answer to the
He
question is
threatened
no.
That would be refreshing.
Ukraine
No, sir.
with $1 billion. If you
That
get rid of
is
the troops,
absolutely
You know what, you're-
not
Stop.
you're on
true.
tape
You're-
doing it.
You're going to
On
have,
tape.
True.
gentlemen.
Is-
I hate to raise
Chris,
my voice,
he's
but
on
it seems
tape.
to be. Why should I be different than the two of you? So here's the
Oh,
deal.
yeah. Fucking false
We have
equivalence. When you work for Fox News?
6 segments. We have ended that segment. We're going to go to the next segment. In that segment, you each are going to have 2 uninterrupted moments. In those 2 uninterrupted minutes, Mr. President, you can say anything you want. I'm going to ask a question about race, but if you want to answer about something else, go ahead. But I think that the country would be better served if we allowed both people to speak with fewer interruptions. I'm appealing to you, sir, to do that.
Well, and him too.
Well, frankly, you've been doing more interrupting.
Well, that's
than he
Thank
has.
you.
He does plenty.
Well,
But there's
less
both
than-
good people on both
less
sides,
than-
Mr. Trump.
No, let's please continue on. The issue of race. President Biden, you say that President Trump's response to the violence in Charlottesville 3 years ago, when he talked about very fine people on both sides, was what directly led you to launch this run for president.
Oh, yeah, sure.
President Trump, you have often said that you believe you have done more for Black Americans than any president, with the possible exception of Abraham Lincoln. My
for
question for the
fuck's
two
sake.
of you is, why should voters trust you rather than your opponent to deal with the race issues facing this country over the next 4 years? Vice President Biden, you go first.
It's about equity and equality. It's about decency. It's about the Constitution. And we have never walked away from trying to require equity for everyone, equality for the whole of America. But we've never accomplished it. But we've never walked away from it like he has done. It is true. The reason I got in the race is when those people, close your eyes, remember what those people look like coming out of the fields carrying torches, their veins bulging, just spewing anti-Semitic bile, and accompanied by the Ku Klux Klan. A young woman got killed. And they asked the president what he thought. He said there were very fine people on both sides. No president's ever said anything like that.
It is who's
Now,
who
second,
in it, sir.
Second point I'd make to you is that when Floyd was killed, when Mr. Floyd was killed, there was a peaceful protest in front of the White House. What did he do? He came out of his bunker, had the military cross to a church and hold up a Bible. And then what happened after that? The bishop of that very church said that it was a disgrace. The general who was with him said all he ever wants to do is divide people, not unite people at all. This is a president who has used everything as a dog whistle to try to generate racist hatred, racist division. This is a man who, in fact, you talk about helping African Americans. 1 in 1,000 African Americans has been killed because of the coronavirus. And if he doesn't do something quickly, by the end of the year, 1 in 500 will have been killed. 1 in 500 African Americans. This man is a savior of African Americans. This man cares at all. This man's done virtually nothing. Look, the fact is that you have to look at what he talks about. You have to look at what he did. And what he did has been disastrous for the African-American community.
So,
President Trump, you have 2 minutes. Why should Americans trust you over your opponent to deal with
he
racism?
did a crime bill, 1994, where you call them super predators, African Americans, the super predators, and they've never forgotten it. They've never forgotten it, Joe.
No, sir, it's his 2 minutes.
So you did that, and they call you a super predator, and I'm letting people out of jail now that you have treated the African American population community, you have treated the black community about as bad as anybody in this country. You did the 1990, and that's why if you look at the polls, I'm doing better than any Republican has done in a long time because they saw what you did. You call them super predators, and you've called them worse than that because you look back at your testimony over the years, you've called them a lot worse than that. As far as the church is concerned, and as far as the generals are concerned, we just got the support of 250 military leaders and generals, total support. Law enforcement, almost every law enforcement group in the United States. I have Florida, I have Texas.
Guess why?
I have Ohio, I have Portland. The sheriff just came out today and he said, I support President Trump. I don't think you have any law enforcement. You can't even say
that
the
sheriff,
word
by the
law
way,
enforcement, because if you
parties
say
with the
those
fucking Proud Boy
words,
people, just
you're
in
gonna
case
lose
anyone
all
was
of your
wondering.
radical left
Proud
supporters.
Boy.
And why aren't you saying those words, Joe? Why don't you say the words law enforcement? Because you know what? If they called us in Portland, we would put out that fire in a half an hour, but they won't do it because they're run by radical left Democrats. If you look at Chicago, if you look at any place you want to look, Seattle, they heard we were coming in the following day and they put up their hands and we got back Seattle. Minneapolis, we got it back, Joe, because we believe in law and order, but you don't. The top 10 cities and just about the top 40 cities are run by Democrats and in many cases radical left. And they've got you wrapped around their finger, Joe, to a point where you don't want to say anything about law and order. And I'll tell you what, the people of this country want and demand law and order, and you're afraid to even say it.
All right.
Nixon said the same
I want to
thing.
return to the question of race.
He literally
Vice
did.
President Biden, after
Yep.
the grand jury in the Breonna Taylor case decided not to charge any of the police with homicide, you said it raises the question, quote, whether justice could be equally applied in America. Do you believe that there is a separate but unequal system of justice for blacks in this country?
Yes, there's systemic injustice in this country, in education and work and in law enforcement and the way in which it's enforced. But look, the vast majority of police officers are good, decent, honorable men and women. They risk their lives every day to take care of us. But there are some bad apples. And when they occur, when they find them, they have to be sorted out. They have to be held accountable. They have to be held accountable. And what I'm going to do as President of the United States is call together an entire group of people at the White House, well, everything from the civil rights groups to the police officers, the police chiefs, and we're going to work this out. We're going to work this out so we change the way in which we have more transparency in when these things happen. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to George Floyd. These cops aren't happy to see what happened to Breonna Taylor. Most don't like it. But we have to have a system where people are held accountable. And by the way, violence in response is never appropriate. Never appropriate. Peaceful protest is. Violence is never appropriate.
All right.
What is peaceful protest? When they run through the middle of the town and burn down your stores and kill people all over the place?
That is
You say
not
peaceful protest?
President
No,
Trump,
it's
I'm not
not,
asking-
but you say it is.
President Trump, I'd like to continue with the
Yes,
issue
go
of
ahead.
race. I
Fine,
promise
Sam.
we're going to get to the issue of law and order
Please.
in a moment.
Fine.
This month, your administration directed federal agencies to end racial sensitivity training that addresses white privilege or critical race theory. Why did you decide to do that, to end racial sensitivity training? And do you believe that there is systemic racism in this country, sir?
I ended it because it's racist. I ended it because a lot of people were complaining that they were asked to do things that were absolutely insane, that it was a radical revolution that was taking place in our military, in our schools, all over the place. And you know it, and so does everybody
what
else.
Is radical,
and he would know.
What is
Oh,
radical
it's totally
about
racist.
racial sensitivity training, sir?
If you were a certain person, you had no status in life. It was sort of a reversal. And if you look at the people,
He's
we
trying
get
not to
paid
say white.
hundreds of thousands of dollars to teach very bad ideas and frankly very sick ideas. And really, they were teaching
Nazis all hated
people
them.
to hate our country. And I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to allow that to happen.
We
have to
need
go
good
back
Nazi
to
training.
the core values of this country. They were teaching people that our country is a horrible place. It's a racist place. And they were teaching people to hate our country. And I'm not going to allow that to happen.
Vice President Biden?
Nobody's doing that. He's just, he's
Oh, you-
racist.
You just don't.
Here's the deal. I know a lot more
You
about
just
it.
don't know.
Let him finish.
The fact is that there is racial insensitivity. People have to be made aware of what other people feel like, what insults them, what is demeaning to them. It's important that people know they don't want to. Many people don't want to hurt other people's feelings, but it makes a big difference. It makes a gigantic difference in the way a child is able to grow up and have a sense of self-esteem. It's a little bit like how this guy and his friends look down on so many people. They look down their nose on people like Irish Catholics like me and grew up in Scranton. They look down on people who don't have money. They look down on people who are of a different faith. They look down on people who are a different color. In fact, we're all Americans. The only way we're going to bring this country together is bring everybody together. There's nothing we cannot do if we do it together. We can take this on and we can defeat racism in America.
President Trump, sir.
During the Obama-Biden administration, there was tremendous division. There was hatred. You look at
His Twitter feed.
Ferguson, you look at, you go to many places. Look at Oakland. Look what happened in Oakland. Look what happened in Baltimore. Look what happened. Frankly, it was more violent than what I'm even seeing now.
Oh, my
but the
Lord.
reason
This
is
is
that
ridiculous.
the Democrats that run these
Absolutely
cities
ridiculous.
don't want to talk like you about law and order.
Violent
And you
crime-
still haven't mentioned.
violent
Are you in
crime.
favure of law and order?
I'm in favor of law. You follow
Are you
it
in
and a little
favor
bit
of law and order? Go
Yes,
ahead.
I'm
say
in
it.
favor.
You asked the question, let him finish.
Law and order.
Loses
Law and order.
Let him
Law and order with justice, where people get treated fairly. And the fact of the matter is, violent crime went down 15% in our administration.
All right.
It's gone up on his watch.
Went down
He-
much more
he
than
had-
ours.
All right, we're
He
not.
is
You're,
president of
Mr.
the
President, you're going
United
to.
States of America.
Mr. President, you're-
Nah, Kerry, I would have punched somebody by now.
We're not going to talk about law and order.
Places we had trouble were Democratic-run cities.
That's
and
exactly my question.
Democratic-
There has been a dramatic increase in homicides in America this summer, particularly, and you often blame that on Democratic mayors and Democratic governors, but in fact, there have been equivalent spikes in Republican-led cities like Tulsa and Fort Worth. So the question is this really a party issue?
I think it's a party issue. You can bring in a couple of examples,
Dumb
but if you
question.
look at Chicago, what's going on in Chicago, where 53 people were shot and 8 died shot. If you look at New York, where it's going up like nobody's ever seen anything, the numbers are going up 100, 150, 200%. crime. It
Republican
is
cities.
crazy what's going on, and he doesn't
Don't
want to
get
say
baited,
law and
Joe.
order because
Don't
he
get
can't,
baited.
because he'll lose his radical left supporters, and once he does that, it's over with. But if he ever got to run this country, and they ran it the way he would want to run it, we would have
We would
our
run it
suburbs
the
would
way-
be gone. By the way,
Suburbs.
our suburbs would be gone, and you would see
Be afraid in
problems
the
like he never
suburbs.
saw.
Oh my
Suburb
God.
Unless you took a wrong turn.
Oh, I know.
I was raised in the suburbs. This is not 1950. All these dog whistles and racism don't work anymore. Suburbs are by and large integrated. There's many people today driving their kids to soccer practice and or to black and white and Hispanic in the same car as there have been any time in the past. What really is a threat to the suburbs and their safety is his failure to deal with COVID. They're dying in the suburbs. His failure to deal with the environment. They're being flooded. They're being burned out because his refusal to do anything. That's why the suburbs are in trouble.
I do want to talk about this issue of law and order, though. And in the joint recommendation that came from the Biden-Bernie Sanders task force, you talked about, quote, reimagining policing. First of all, what does reimagining policing mean? And do you support,
It means
let me, if I might finish the question, what does reimagining policing mean? And do you support the Black Lives Matter call for community control of policing?
look, what I support is the police having the opportunity to deal with the problems they face. And I'm totally opposed to defunding the police offices. As a matter of fact, local police, the only one defunding in his budget calls for a $400 million cut in local law enforcement assistance. They need more assistance. They need, when they show up for a 9/11 call, to have someone with them as a psychologist or psychiatrist to keep them from having to use force and be able to talk people down. We have to have community policing like we had before, where the officers get to know the people in the communities. That's when crime went down. It didn't go up, it went down. And so we have to be engaged.
That's not what
in
they're
prevention.
talking about, Chris. That's
well,
not what
that-
they're talking about.
that's
He's talking about
exactly-
defunding the police.
That is not true.
He doesn't have any law
Well, you-
support.
look,
He has no law enforcement
that's not
support.
true.
Almost
That's
nothing.
not. Look,
Oh, really? Who do you have? Name one group that supports you. Name one group that came out and supported you. Go
Look,
ahead.
Don't get
We have
baited.
time.
we don't have time to do
No, no,
anything.
think
So
about
listen,
it.
look,
Name one
folks,
law
folks,
enforcement group that came out and
I think,
supported
gentlemen,
you.
I think I'm going to take back the
There aren't.
moderator's
I don't think
role,
there
and
are any.
I want to get to another subject, which is the issue of protests in many cities that have turned violent. In Portland, Oregon, especially, we had more than 100 straight days of protests, which I think you would agree. You talk about peaceful protests. Many of those turned
We're not
into
peaceful.
riots. Mr. Vice President,
6%.
you say that people who commit crimes should be held accountable. The question I have, though, is as the Democratic nominee, and earlier tonight you said that you are the Democratic Party right now. Have you ever called the Democratic mayor of Portland or the Democratic governor of Oregon and said, hey, you got to stop this, bring in the National Guard, do whatever it takes, but you stop the days and months of violence in Portland?
I don't hold public office now.
Nailed
I
it.
am
That's the
former
right
vice
answer.
President. I've made it clear. I've made it clear in my public statements that the violence should be prosecuted. It should be prosecuted, and anyone who commits it.
But
should
you've
be
never called
prosecuted.
for the people,
He's never
the
said
leader, excuse me, sir. You had never called for the leaders in Portland and in Oregon to call
Because
bring in
they-
the National Guard and knock
Well,
off 100 days of riots.
They can, in fact, take care of it if he just stay out of the way. Look here.
Oh, really?
here-
Oh, really?
Here's the
But
thing.
no,
I
that-
sent
sir,
in
no,
the
wait, I
U.S.
asked him a
Marshals to
question.
get the killer
No,
of the
that-
young man in the middle of the street. They shot him, and
Right.
for 3
Mr.
days,
President
and
Trump,
just-
Portland
President
wouldn't do
Trump,
anything. I
please
had to send
interrupt
in
me.
the U.S. Marshals.
President
They took
Trump,
care of business.
go ahead, sir.
And by the way, his own former spokesperson said, riots and chaos and violence help his cause. That's what this is all
I
about.
don't know who said that.
I do.
Who?
I think Kellyanne Conway.
I don't think she said that.
She said that.
I don't-
And so here's the
All right.
But here's the point.
Go
The
ahead.
point is that that's what he is, keeps trying to rile everything up. He doesn't want to calm things down. Instead of going in and talking to people and saying, let's get everybody together, figure out how to deal with this. What's he do? He just pours gasoline in the fire constantly,
And-
every single solitary
Okay,
time.
and to end this, button up this segment, I'm going to give you a minute to answer, sir. You have repeatedly
Well, wait, I
criticized.
have to answer his
No,
statement.
You have
Your statement.
repeatedly,
Wait,
you have
just one
repeated, no,
second.
you've been talking
You
back
made
and
a
forth.
statement.
I'm asking you.
I would love to
you know,
end it.
sir.
I would love to end it, and
you
we
know, if
would
you want to
very-
switch seats,
We would very quickly.
We could do that, but
I'd
I'm
send
no,
in the National Guard, it would be over. There'd be no problem.
Okay,
But they
good.
don't want to accept the National Guard.
You have repeatedly criticized the vice president for not specifically calling out Antifa and other left-wing
That's right.
extremist groups. But are you willing tonight to condemn white supremacists and militia groups and to say that they need to stand down and not add to the violence in a number of these cities, as we saw in Kenosha and as we've seen in Portland?
Sure,
are you
I'm willing
prepared
to
to
do that,
specifically
but-
Do it.
But
Go ahead, sir.
But-
I would say almost everything I see is from the left wing, not from the right
So
wing.
what are you
If
saying?
I'm willing to do anything. I want to see
Well,
peace.
then do it, sir.
Say it. Do it. Say it.
Say it.
You want to call them? What do you want to call them? Give me a name. Give me a
White
name. Go ahead.
supremacists and
Who would
white
you like me to condemn?
White
Proud Boys.
supremacists and right-wing
Proud
militia.
Boys, stand back and stand by. But I'll tell you what.
But
Somebody's got to do something about Antifa and the left, because this is not a right-wing problem.
His
This
own
is a left-wing.
FBI director.
This
said
is a
the threat
left-wing
of
problem.
white
Go ahead, sir.
supremacists. Antifa's an idea, not an organization.
Oh, you gotta be
not
kidding.
militia. That's what his
It's an idea.
FBI, his
Okay.
FBI director
Gentlemen,
said.
Well,
we're
then
gonna-
you know what?
No,
He's
no, we're
wrong.
done. We're done, sir.
He's
We're
wrong.
moving on to the next.
Everybody
We're
When a
moving.
bat
advice
hits
in
you
your
over the head, that's
administration.
not an idea.
Everybody in
Antifa
your
is bad.
administration tells you the truth has a bad idea.
Can I tell you what?
You have no ideas. that are-
Antifa is a dangerous
All right,
radical
gentlemen, we're
group.
now moving on to the Trump
And
and
you ought to be
Biden
careful with
records.
them. They'll overthrow you.
When a president, I'm going to ask the question. When the president seeks a second term, it is generally a
Soup
referendum
cans.
on his record. But Vice President Biden, you like to quote one of your dad's sayings, which is, "Don't compare me to the Almighty, compare me to the alternative." And in this case, sir, you are the alternative. Looking at both of your records, I'm going to ask each of you, why should voters elect you president over your opponent? In this segment, President Trump, you go first, 2 minutes.
Because there has never been an administration or president who has done more than I've done in
lie.
a period of 3.5 years. And that's despite the impeachment hoax. And you saw what happened today with
I mean,
Hillary Clinton, where it was
lie.
a whole big con job.
What?
But despite going through all of these things where I had to fight both flanks and behind me and above, there has never been an
Everybody's against
administration
me.
that's done what I've
Mhm.
done. The greatest before COVID came in, the greatest economy.
Even
in
my
history,
generals right
lowest
here in the
unemployment
bunker with me.
numbers. Everything was good. Everything was going. And by the way, there was unity going to happen. People were calling me
Yeah,
for the first time in years. They
sure.
were calling and they were saying it's time, maybe.
Sir.
And then what happened? We got hit, but now we're building it back up again.
Yeah,
A
lie.
rebuilding
Good
of
job,
the
Greg.
military, including Space Force and all of the other things.
We're making
A
Space Force.
fixing of the VA, which was a mess under him. 308,000 people died because they didn't have proper health care. It
That's
was a
not
mess.
true.
And we now got a 91% approval rating at the VA, our vets. We take care
That's
of our
not
vets.
true.
But we've rebuilt our military.
At the VA, not of
job
him.
That we've done, and I'll tell you something. Some people say maybe the most important.
Oh,
By the
fuck
end
you.
of the first term, I'll have approximately 300 federal judges and Court of Appeals judges, 300, and
Shitty,
hopefully 3 great
unqualified
Supreme Court judges, justices. That is a record, the likes of which very few people, and you know one of the reasons I'll have so many judges, because President Obama and him left me 128 judges to fill.
Why did
When
that
you
happen?
leave office,
Watch
you
how
don't
fast
need
this fact
any
check is,
judges.
Corey.
It's like you just don't do that. They left 128 openings, and if I were a member of his party, because they have a little different philosophy, I'd say if you left us 128 openings, you can't be a good
You guys all know
president.
that's because
You
the Senate
can't be a
blocked
good
them,
vice
right?
President. But I want to thank you because it gives us almost, it'll probably be above that
Has it
number
been
by
2
the
minutes
end of
yet?
this term.
I'm sir.
300 judges. It's a record.
Looking at both of your records, why
easy.
should
But hey,
voters
he brought
elect
back
you
football.
president as opposed to President Trump? You have 2 minutes uninterrupted.
Under this president, we become weaker, sicker, poorer, more divided, and more violent. When I was vice president, we inherited a recession. I was asked to fix it. I did. We left him a booming economy, and he caused the recession. With regard to being weaker, the fact is that I've gone head to head with Putin and made it clear to him we're not going to take any of his stuff. He's Putin's puppy. He still refuses to even say
Putin's
anything
puppy.
to Putin about the bounty on the heads of American soldiers.
Your son got
And-
$3.5 million.
Not sure.
Mi-
And
Mr.
by the way,
President,
my son-
wait a minute. Mr. President, your campaign agreed to both sides would get
Mr. President, gosh diggity darn it.
answers uninterrupted. Well, your side agreed to it, and why don't you observe what your campaign agreed to as a ground rule, okay, sir?
He never keeps his word. Can you add
No,
back,
no,
He's
I'm
a
not
person
asking.
that's
That was
not
a
yelling.
rhetorical question.
Can you
Go
add
ahead,
back
sir.
30 seconds?
Yeah, yes, you
Okay.
may have.
All right.
Go ahead.
So, thirdly, we're poor. The billionaires have gotten much more wealthy by a tune of over $300 to $400 billion more just since COVID. You in the home, you got less. You're in more trouble than you were before. In terms of being more violent, when we were in office, there were 15% less violence in America than there is today. He's president of the United States. It's on his watch. And with regard to more divided, the nation can't stay divided. We can't be this way. And speaking of my son, the way you talk about the military, the way you talk about them being losers and being and just being suckers. My son was in Iraq. He spent a year there. He got the Bronze Star. He got the Conspicuous Service Medal. He was not a loser. He was a patriot. And the people left behind there were heroes.
Really?
And I resent.
Are you talking
like
about
hell.
Hunter? Are you talking about
I'm
Hunter?
talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're
I
talking
don't know.
about.
I don't
Beto.
know, Bo. I know Hunter.
Yeah, you
Hunter
know.
got
Wow,
thrown.
this
Hunter got
motherfucker.
thrown out of the
Fucking
military.
clown.
He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. It
for
wasn't dishonorably.
cocaine use, and he didn't have a job until you became vice president. Once you
None of
became
that
vice
is
president,
true.
he made a fortune in Ukraine, in China, in Moscow,
That is simply
and various
not
other places.
true.
He
My
made
son-
a fortune,
My son.
and he didn't have a job.
My son, like a lot of people you know at home, had a drug problem. He's
Thank you.
overtaken it. He's fixed it. He's worked on it, and I'm proud of him.
But why
I'm
was he
proud of
given
my
tens
son.
of millions
All
of
right.
But
dollars?
he wasn't given
All right.
tens of
He was
millions of
given
dollars. That
tens
is
of
totally,
millions of
that's
dollars.
President Trump,
totally
President Trump,
discredited.
you've already been
Totally discredited.
We've already been through this. I think the American people would
No
rather
puppy,
hear
no
about
puppy,
more
no puppy.
substantial
So do I.
subjects. Well, you know, as the moderator, sir, I'm going to make
I know,
a
but when
judgment call
somebody
here.
gets $3.5 million,
Turn his mic
from
off.
the mayor
Let's talk
of Moscow.
Let's talk
That is
about-
not
I think
true.
it's a terrible
That
thing.
report is totally
Why is he
discredited.
I
Mitt
think,
Romney on that committee said it wasn't worth taxpayers'
Gen-
money. That report it was written for political reasons.
you know, I'd like to talk about climate change.
So would I.
Okay. The forest fires in the West are raging now. They have burned millions of acres. They have displaced
Put this comment
hundreds
up, Corey.
of thousands of people. When state officials there blame the fires on climate change, Mr. President, you said, I don't think the science knows. Over your 4 years, you have pulled the U.S. out of the Paris Climate Accord. You have rolled back a number of Obama environmental records. What do you believe about the science of climate change? And what will you do in the next 4 years to confront it?
I want crystal clean water and air. I want beautiful clean air. We have now
And we'll
the
get there
lowest
by
carbon.
canceling
If you
the
look
Clean
at
Water,
our numbers
Clean Water and
right
Clean
now,
Air Acts.
We are
Look at it-
doing
look at Joe's face.
phenomenally. But I haven't destroyed our businesses. Our businesses aren't put out of commission. If you look at the Paris Accord, it was a disaster from our standpoint. And people are actually very happy about what's going on because our businesses are doing well. As far as the fires are concerned, you need forest management in addition to
You have
everything
to
else.
rake
The
things.
forest floors are
Oh
loaded
my
up with
God,
trees,
he's literally
dead trees
doing
that
it.
are years old, and they're like tinder, and leaves and everything else. You drop a cigarette in there, the whole forest burns down. You've
On
got
the
to have
national
forest
forest.
management.
What do you
You've got to have
believe?
cuts.
What do you believe
Oh
about
my
the science of climate change, sir?
I believe that we have to do everything we can to have immaculate air, immaculate water, and do whatever else we can.
He's
that's
a
good.
climate
we're
denier.
planting 1 billion trees, the Billion Tree Project, and it's very
Do you
exciting. for a
believe
lot of people.
that human pollution, greenhouse gas emissions contributes to the global warming of
I
this
think
planet?
a lot of things do, but I think to an extent, yes. I think to an extent, yes. But I also think we have to do better management of our forests.
You have
Every
to rake them,
year,
Greg.
I get the call. California's burning.
Sir.
California's burning. If
Sir.
that was cleaned, if you had forest management, good forest
In the
management,
national forest,
you wouldn't
Greg.
be getting those.
In the
Right.
national
You know,
Better
in Europe,
controlled
they
by
live
who?
their forest
US
cities.
Forest
They're
The
called forest
federal
cities.
government.
They maintain their forests. They manage their forests. I was with the
Oh,
head of
Joe.
a major country. It's a forest city. He said, "Sir, we have trees that are far more, they ignite much easier than California. There shouldn't be that problem. I spoke with the governor about it. I'm getting along very well with the governor. But I said, you know, at some point, you can't every year have hundreds of thousands of acres of land just burned to the ground.
But, sir,
That's burning down because of a
But,
lack
sir,
of
climate
If you
change,
believe in
you
the
fucking
science
clown.
of climate change, why have you rolled back the Obama Clean Power Plan, which limited carbon emissions in
And the
power plants?
Nixon
Why have
Clean
you
Water Act
relaxed-
because it
and the
was driving
Nixon
energy
Clean Air Act.
prices through the sky.
Why have you relaxed fuel economy standards that are going to create more pollution from cars
Well,
and
not
trucks?
really, because what's happening is the car is much less expensive and it's a
What?
much safer car.
What does that
And you're
mean?
talking about a tiny difference. And then what would happen because of the cost of the car, you would have at least double and triple the number of cars purchased. We have the old
What?
slugs out there that are 10, 12 years old.
It's the
If
Jack
you did
Mariano
that, the car
argument.
would be safer. It would be much
Cars
cheaper
are
by
good for the
$10,500.
environment.
California, they simply
No, but it
ignored
would take a lot of cars off the market because
Jack
people
must be
would
so
able to
proud
afford a
tonight.
car.
Yeah.
Now, and by the way, we're going to see how that turns out. But a lot of people agree with me. Many people. The
Oh,
car
for
has
fuck
gotten
you.
so expensive
Idiots
because
do.
They have computers all
Including
over
the
place.
president of Forest
That's
City,
a
Corey.
little bit
Oh.
of gasoline. And, by
That's
the,
not-
and I'm okay with electric cars too. I think I'm all for electric cars. I've given big incentives for electric cars.
Did you?
What
I
they've
bet
done
you
in
that's not
California
true.
is just
All right.
crazy.
Vice President Biden, I'd like you to respond to the president's climate change record, but I also want to
Denial.
ask you about a concern. You proposed $2 trillion in green jobs. You talk about new limits, not abolishing, but new limits on fracking, ending the use of fossil fuels to generate electricity by 2035, and zero net emission of greenhouse gases by 2050. The president says a lot of these things would tank the economy and cost millions of jobs.
He's absolutely wrong, number one. Number two, if in fact, during our administration, the Recovery Act, I was in charge, able to bring down the cost of renewable energy to cheaper than or as cheap as coal and gas and oil. Nobody's going to build another coal-fired plant in America. No one's going to build another oil-fired plant in America. They're going to move to renewable energy, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that we are able to take the federal fleet and turn it into a fleet that's run on their electric vehicles. Making sure that we can do that, we're going to put 500,000 charging stations and all of the highways that we're going to be building in the future. We're going to build an economy that, in fact, is going to provide for the ability of us to take 4 million buildings and make sure that they, in fact, are weatherized in a way that, in fact, they'll emit significantly less gas and oil because the heat will not be going out. There's so many things that we can do now to create thousands and thousands of jobs. We can get to net zero in terms of energy production by 2035. Not only not costing people jobs, creating millions of good paying jobs, not $15 an hour, but prevailing wage, by having a new infrastructure that in fact is green. And the first thing I will do, I will rejoin the Paris Accord. I will join the Paris Accord because with us out of it, look what's happening. It's all falling apart. And talk about someone who has no relationship with foreign policy. Brazil, the rainforests of Brazil are being torn down, are being ripped down. More carbon is absorbed in that rainforest than every bit of carbon that's emitted in the United States. Instead of doing something about that, I would be gathering up and making sure we had the countries of the world coming up with $20 billion and say, here's $20 billion. Stop tearing down the forest. And if you don't, then you're going to have significant economic consequences.
What about the argument that President Trump basically says that you have to balance environmental interests and economic interests, and he's drawn his line?
Well, he hadn't drawn a line. He still, for example, he wants to make sure that methane's not a problem. You can now emit more methane without it being a problem. Methane. This is a guy who says that you don't have to have mileage standards for automobiles that exist now. This is a guy who says that, well, the fact that it's all true. And here's the deal.
Talking about the Green New Deal, and it's not $2 billion or $20 billion, as you said. It's $100 trillion.
For fuck's sake.
They want to rip down buildings and rebuild the building.
No,
it's the
that is
dumbest,
not-
most
that
ridiculous,
is not-
where airplanes are out of business,
That's it.
where two-car systems are out, where they
Not
want
true.
to take out the cows, too.
Not-
That's not true either,
We're
right?
taking out the
This is
cows.
a This is a 100
Simply
trillion.
Creating
that's
jobs for
more
cruise
money
missile
than our
manufacturers.
country could make in
That is
100
simply
years if it would
not
be
the case.
All right.
Oh, my God.
Because I actually, wait a minute.
I need
sir.
a soup
actually
can. I'm gonna hit myself
studied
with
your
it.
plan, and it includes upgrading 4 million buildings,
Superside?
weatherizing
You're gonna
2
commit
million
superside?
homes over 4 years, building 1.5 million energy-efficient homes.
Oh, I need to pee.
So
This
the question
is bad.
becomes, the president is saying, I think some people who support the president would say that sounds like it's going to cost a lot of money and hurt the economy.
What it's going to do is going to create thousands and millions of jobs, good
100
paying
trillion.
jobs.
But let him finish, sir.
He doesn't know how to do that.
$100
They-
billion.
The fact is, it's going to create millions of good paying jobs, and these tax incentives to people for people to weatherize, which he wants to get rid of. It's going to make the economy much safer. Look how much we're paying now to deal with the hurricanes. By the way, he has an answer for hurricanes. He said maybe we should drop a nuclear weapon on them. They may.
I never said that.
That's
At all.
he did say.
You made it up.
And here's the deal.
You make up. A
We are going to be in a position where we can create hard, good jobs by making sure the environment is clean and we all are in better shape. We spend billions of dollars now, on floods, hurricanes, rising seas. We're in real trouble. Look what's happened just in the Midwest with these storms that come through and wipe out entire sections and counties in Iowa. That didn't happen before. They're because of global warming. We make up 15% of the world's problem. We, in fact, but the rest of the world, we got to get them to come along. That's why we have to get back into the Paris Accord.
All right, gentlemen.
Wait a minute, Chris. So why didn't he do it for 47 years? You were vice president. Why didn't you get the world? China sends up real dirt into the air. Russia does. India does. They all do. We're supposed to be good. And by the way, he made a couple of statements. The Green New Deal is $100 trillion.
That is not
$20
my
billion.
plan.
That's
The Green
well,
New
you want to
Deal
rebuild every
is not
building.
my plan.
I want to
All
rebuild
right.
every.
If he knew anything
wait, no, no,
about,
wait.
if he knew
Gentlemen,
He
anything
made a
about,
statement
Gentlemen.
about the military. He said I said something about the military. He and his friends made it up, and then they went with it. I never said it.
Okay.
that is
What
not
he
true.
did
Sir,
is he
you're done in
said
this segment.
he called
Mr.
the
Vice-
military
Mr. Vice President,
stupid bastards.
I
and he
did
said
not
it on
say
tape.
that.
He
That-
said
Mr.
stupid
Sir,
bastards.
please,
He
sir,
said it.
stop.
I would never
I
say
would
that.
Play it.
Stop.
Play it.
Okay.
You're
Mr.
on
Vice
tape.
President answered his final question.
The final question is, I can't remember which of all was ranting.
I'm having a little trouble- I'm having a little trouble myself, but and about the economy and about this question of what it's going to cost.
The economy.
I mean, the Green New Deal and the idea of what your
the
environmental
Green New
changes
Deal-
will do.
The Green New Deal will pay for itself as we move forward. We're not going to build plants that, in fact, are great polluting plants.
So do you
We're going to
support
build.
the Green New Deal?
Pardon me?
You support?
No, I don't support the Green
Oh,
New
you
Deal.
don't? Oh, well, that's a
You
big
let-
statement.
I
That
support
means you
the
just
Biden.
lost the radical left.
I
Done.
support
you
the
don't.
Biden plan that I put forward.
Okay.
The Biden plan, which is different than what he calls the radical Green New Deal.
All right, gentlemen, final segment, election integrity. As we meet tonight, millions of Americans are receiving mail-in ballots or going to vote early. How confident should we be that this will be a fair election? And what are you prepared to do over the next 5+ weeks? Because it'll not only be to Election Day, but also counting some ballots, mail-in ballots after Election Day. What are you prepared to do to reassure the American people that the next president will be the legitimate winner of this election? In this final segment, Mr. Vice President, you go first.
Prepared to let people vote. They should go to iwillvote.com. Decide how they're going to vote, when they're going to vote, and what means by which they're going to vote. His own Homeland Security Director, and as well as the FBI Director, says there is no evidence at all that mail-in ballots are a source of being manipulated and cheating. They said that. The fact is that there are going to be millions of people because of COVID that are going to be voting by mail-in ballots, like he does, by the way. He sits behind the Resolute desk and sends his ballot to Florida, number one. Number two, we're going to make sure that those people who want to vote in person are able to vote because enough poll watchers are there to make sure they can socially distance. The polls are open on time, and the polls stay open until the votes are counted. And this is all about trying to dissuade people from voting because he's trying to scare people into thinking that it's not going to be legitimate. Show up and vote. You will determine the outcome of this election. Vote, vote, vote. If you're able to vote early in your state, vote early. If you're able to vote in person, vote in person. Vote whatever way is the best way for you.
Tell them not to
Because
vote twice,
will-
Joe.
He cannot
yes,
stop
yes, yes.
you from being able to determine the outcome of this election. And in terms of whether or not when the votes are counted and they're all counted, that will be accepted. If I win, that will be accepted. If I lose, that'll be accepted. But by the way, if in fact he says he's not sure what he's going to accept, well, let me tell you something. It doesn't matter, because if we get the votes, it's going to be all over. He's going to go. He can't stay in power. It won't happen. It won't happen. So vote. Just make sure you understand you have it in your control to determine what this country is going to look like the next 4 years. Is it going to change? You get 4 more years of these lies.
Mr. President?
I
2
mean,
minutes.
So when I listened to Joe talking about a transition, there's been no transition from when I won. I won that election. And if you look at crooked Hillary Clinton, if you look at all of the different people,
What?
there was no transition because they came after me trying to do a coup. They came after me spying on my campaign.
Oh, this
They
actually
started
works on
from
the
day
right.
I won, and even before I won.
I was
from the
put
day
on, so
came
I should
down the
get
escalator with our First
3
Lady.
tours.
They were a disaster. They were a disgrace to our country, and we've caught them. We've caught them all. We've got it all on tape.
Well, I
We've
mean-
caught them all. And by the way, you gave the idea for the Logan Act against General Flynn.
The
You better
fuck
take a
is
look at
this
that
shit?
Because we caught you in a sense, and President Obama
Oh
was
my
sitting in the
God.
office.
Okay,
He knew about it
he's
too, so don't tell me
disclosing
about a
classified
fleet
material
transition.
right now.
As
Yep.
far as
If
the
he's
ballots
heard
are
tapes of
concerned, it's a
this,
disaster.
Yep.
He's releasing sources and methods.
He's full.
It's
It's full of
okay.
shit anyway.
You're
He's lying.
soliciting. You're asking. They send it back. You send it back. I did that. If you have an unsolicited, they're sending millions of ballots all over the country.
Because of a
There's
giant
fraud.
pandemic,
They
you
found them in
fuck.
creeks. They found some with the name Trump. Just happened to have the name Trump just the other day in a waste paper basket. They're being sent all over
Oh
the
my
place.
God.
They sent 2 in a Democrat area. They sent out 1,000 ballots. Everybody got 2 ballots. This is
That's
going to be
fucking
a fraud
such
like you've never
horseshit.
seen. The other thing, it's nice on November 3rd, you're watching and you see the election. And I think we're going to do well because people are really happy with the job we've done.
Really? Really, dude?
Not know for months.
People call him all the time and say,
It's gonna be
"Sir."
all over. Take a look at what happened in Manhattan. Take a look at what happened in New Jersey. Take a look at what happened in Virginia and other places.
He's just saying
They're
words.
not losing 2%, 1%, which, by the way, is too much. An election could be won or lost with that. They're losing 30 and 40%. It's a fraud.
What does that even
And it's
mean?
a shame. And can you imagine where they say you have to have your ballot in by November 10th? November 10th. That means that's 7 days after the election. In
Postmarked
theory,
before
should have been
November
announced.
3rd.
We have
You
major
fucking
states
clown.
with that.
Sir,
All run by
2 minutes
Democrats.
is 2 minutes.
All run by
You're-
Democrats. It's
President
a,
Trump,
it's a rigged election.
you're going to be able to continue. You have been charging for months that mail-in balloting is going to be a disaster. You say it's rigged, that it's going to lead to fraud. But in 2018, in the last midterm election, 31 million people voted mail-in voting. That was a quarter, more than a quarter of all the voters that year cast their ballots by mail. Now that millions of mail-in ballots have gone out, what are you going to do about it? And are you counting on the Supreme Court, including a Justice Barrett, to settle any dispute?
Yeah, I think I'm counting on them to look at the ballots. Definitely. I don't think I hope we don't need them in terms of the election itself. But for the ballots, I think so. Because what's happening is incredible. I read today where at least 1% of the ballots for 2016 were
Oh,
invalidated.
fuck off.
They take them. We don't like them. We don't like them.
But what
They
are you
throw
going to
them
do
out
about it?
left
There
and
are
right.
millions of ballots going out.
What
by
you
Yeah,
do
mail.
all
is
in
you
Georgia
go
'cause they
vote.
took
You
people out
do
the
a
rolls.
solicited ballot,
No,
and that's
I'm not-
okay.
I know
Or
your
you go and
complaint.
vote.
I'm asking you about the fact that millions of people.
You go
have
and
received-
vote. You go and
No,
vote
but what
like
I'm
they
saying is, what are
like
you
they
gonna do
used
about
to
the
in
fact
the
that
old.
millions of people.
You either do, Chris, a solicited ballot where you're sending it in, they're sending it back, and you're sending. They have mailmen with lots of it. Did you see what's going on? Take a look at West Virginia. Mailmen selling the ballots. They're being sold. They're being dumped in rivers. This is a horrible thing for our country.
There is no.
This is not.
There is no.
This is
evidence
not
of
going to
that.
end well.
There is
Okay.
no
This
evidence
is
of that.
not going
Vice
to
President
end well.
Biden.
5 states
fact,
have had
go ahead,
mail-in
sir.
ballots for the last decade or more. 5, including 2 Republican states. And you don't have to solicit the ballot. It's sent to you. It's sent to your home. What we're
Put this one
saying
up,
is,
Corey.
they're saying is that it has to be a postmark by the time by election day. If it doesn't get in till the 7th, 8th, 9th, it still should be counted. He's just afraid of counting the votes because he knows
You're
the
wrong.
outcome.
You're wrong.
No, I want to continue with you on
I
this,
love
Vice
counting the
President Biden. because
Chris, he's so wrong when he makes
in
a
fact,
statement
no,
like that.
excuse me, Vice President Biden, the biggest problem, in fact, over the years with mail-in voting has not been fraud historically. It has been that sizable numbers, sometimes hundreds of thousands of ballots are thrown out because they have not been properly filled out, or there is some other irregularity, or they
That can
missed
be fraud.
the deadline. So the question I have is, are you concerned that the Supreme Court with a Justice Barrett will settle any dispute?
I'm concerned that any court would settle this because here's the deal. When you get a ballot and you fill it out, you're supposed to have an affidavit. If you didn't know, you have someone say that this is me. You should be able to, if in fact you can verify that's you before the ballot is thrown out, that's sufficient to be able to count the ballot because someone made a mistake and not dotting the correct I. Who they voted for, testify, say who they voted for, say it's you. That is totally legitimate.
All right.
Excuse me,
That's
No,
called
no,
ballot
no,
healing, and we spent a lot of time doing that after the
Senate
last
is
election during the
swamping
recount
the
process.
system.
And
You
our
know it can't be
Republican
done.
supervisor
You know
of
it
elections
can't.
at Pasco County did a
And
great job at
So
that.
now-
Mail service delivers
Wait a minute,
100
Listening to you is way better than
Wait a
listening
minute.
to
Millions
these
In
of
8
people.
states, we can keep talking.
It's
In
a-
8
it's a
states,
disgrace.
election workers are prohibited currently by law, 8 states, from even beginning to process ballots, even take them out of the envelopes and
Yes.
flatten them until election day. That means that it's likely, because there's going to be a huge increase in mail-in balloting, that we are not going to know on election night who the winner is, that it could be days, it could be weeks,
Could be months.
until we find out who the new president is. So first for you, sir, finally for the vice president, I hope neither of you will interrupt the other. Will you urge your supporters to stay calm during this extended period, not to engage
He
in
won't do
any
this.
civil
Watch.
unrest?
Watch.
And will you pledge tonight that you will not declare victory until the election has been independently certified? President Trump, you
I'm
go first.
urging my supporters to go into the polls and watch very carefully because that's what has to happen. I am urging them to do it. As
You
know,
can't do
today,
that.
there's a big
That's a
problem. In
fucking federal
Philadelphia,
crime.
They went into watch. They're called poll watchers, a very safe, very nice thing. They were thrown out. They weren't allowed to watch.
'Cause
You
it's
know why?
illegal, you
Because
fucking
bad
idiot.
Things happen in Philadelphia. Bad things. And
Are
I
you-
am urging
my
my people.
God.
I hope it's going to be a fair election. If it's a fair
You're urging
election,
them what?
I am 100% on board. But if I see tens of thousands of ballots being manipulated, I can't go along with that. And I'll tell
And
you
what
what.
does that
This
mean
is
with
really
Donald
bad,
Trump?
guys.
Does that mean you're
It's
gonna
really
do
the most
people
dangerous thing any
These are
American
fraudulent
president has ever
elections.
said.
You're
And what are
sending
you
out
gonna do?
80
And
million
what would you
ballots.
do
They're
about
not,
that?
they're not equipped to. These people aren't equipped to handle it. Number one. Number two,
Okay.
they
Stay out of it,
cheat.
Joe.
They cheat. Hey, they found ballots in a waste paper basket 3 days ago, and they all had the name
All right.
military ballots. They were military. They
That's
all
a
had
lie.
the name Trump on them.
We know that's a lie, too.
That's a lie.
Vice President Biden, final question for you. Will
We've had a
you
full
urge your
explanation for that
supporters to
incident.
Stay calm while the vote is counted, and will you pledge not to declare victory until the election is independently certified?
Yes.
Yes.
And here's the deal.
Insane.
They count the ballots, as you pointed out. Some of these ballots in some states can't even be opened until election day. And if there's thousands of ballots, it's going to take time to do it. And by the way, our military, they've been voting by ballots since the end
By
of the
mail,
Civil
but
War
you get the
in
idea.
effect. And that's what's going to happen. Why was it not? Why is it for them somehow not fraudulent? It's the same process. It's honest. No one has established at all that there is fraud related to mail-in ballots, that somehow it's a fraudulent process.
It's already been established. Take a
but-
look at Carolyn Maloney's race.
I
and
asked
then
you,
how-
you have an opportunity to
Look at Carolyn
respond.
Maloney.
Go ahead.
They have no idea what
Vice
happened.
President Biden, go ahead.
He has no idea what he's talking about. Here's the deal. The fact is, I will accept it, and he will too. You know why? Because once the winner is declared, after all the ballots are
More
counted,
from Daniel
all the
Dale.
votes are counted, that'll be the end of it. That'll be the end of it. And if it's me, in fact, fine. If it's not me, I'll support the outcome, and I'll be a president not just for the Democrats. I'll be a president for Democrats and Republicans. And this guy,
I want to
if in
see an
fact-
honest
Okay,
ballot count.
gentlemen,
We-
you say that's the end of it?
Chris,
This is
I
the end
wanna
of
see
this
an
debate?
honest ballot count.
We're
And I
gonna
think
leave
he
it
does
there.
too.
To be continued as in more debates as we go on.
I'm not sure that's going to
Trump,
happen now.
Vice President Biden, it's been an interesting hour and a half. I want to thank you both for participating in the first of 3 debates that you have agreed to engage in. We want to thank Case Western Reserve University and the Cleveland Clinic for hosting this event. The next debate, sponsored by the Commission on Presidential Debates, will be 1 week from tomorrow, October 7th, at the University of Utah in Salt Lake City. The 2 vice presidential nominees, Vice President Mike Pence and Senator Kamala Harris, will debate at 9 p.m. Eastern that night. We hope you watch. Until then, thank you and good night.
I need some Rachel Maddow.
I think I want to kill the audio though. Now I kind of want to talk about all of this. I think we need to talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, we can for sure. Yep. We can do.
I have to tell you, that's the single most dangerous thing an American president has ever said related to an election. What he's doing is he's dog whistling armed people to show up at polling places and go inside and disrupt or oversee the voting and vote counting process. Election observers, poll workers are certified. They have to go to a class. They have to learn how to do that job. They have to be approved to do that job. You cannot just show up on election day and expect to access a polling location to make sure things are going okay. You can't do that. You can't even stand outside a polling place in Florida wearing a Biden t-shirt or a Trump t-shirt. Can't do that. So what he's essentially doing is encouraging people to go interfere with the free and fair election of leadership in our country. That is outrageous. That is outrageous. You can wear a Trump t-shirt inside to go vote, but you must immediately leave when you're done voting. You can't hang around and be a Trump supporter or a Biden supporter or a Greg Smithwick for mayor supporter. You can't do that. Or I would have been at polling places hassling people to vote for Kelly Smith when she ran. That's not okay. And the president of the United States just not only did he not commit to keeping his voters calm during this election cycle and being patient because it's going to take some time to count, he did the opposite of that and encouraged the kind of mayhem that we all fear is going to happen in this election. It's never been more important for you to have a plan to vote. It's never been more important for you to work that plan and be ready. Crawl across broken glass. My ballot is sitting right here. I am waiting patiently for my roommate, Laugh Track, to finish hers. And I'm going to drive to the supervisor of elections office and put them in their hand personally. That's how important this is. That's how charged up you should be about it. And all of your friends. And if they're not, you should be yelling at them. Like I'm yelling at you. I don't mean to yell.
It's if there was ever a time that was worth yelling, it's right now.
I think I want to smoke some more pot.
That's probably not a terrible idea. Yeah, I mean,
my God.
It's exactly. I mean, fuck. How many times do we have to do this? Remember when we were doing Coffee on the Dock and we were like, "No, it's going to be really fucking
it's
bad.
It's going to be really bad.
No, it's fine.
You guys don't come to our business networking group anymore because you're too no fun. You guys are too shrill. You're too crazy. Too radical. Fuckers."
Yeah. Remember that time we were right about literally everything?
Yeah.
It's getting a little tired.
Wow. Well, Donnie, you can be scared or you can be mad and you can do stuff to make it better.
Yeah, that agency is literally everything, right? If you're frustrated,
and you have it.
Yes, exactly. If you're frustrated, have a plan to vote, right? If you've got your plan to vote, get one more person and make sure they have a plan to vote. And if that's done and you still feel anxious, get 10 more fucking people and make sure they have a way to vote. Just get it done, right? We have to be able to transfer this anger and anxiety and fear that we have that is absolutely warranted into action. Otherwise, it just gets worse, right? Anyways, Lori, I was looking for Rachel and I can't pull it up anywhere yet.
All right. Well, maybe we should just go ahead and cut this and let the professionals do the talking. I just wanted to have that say that's the most dangerous thing a president has ever said in a debate, other than maybe saying we're going to nuke Russia next week. I can't imagine a more dangerous thing.
Yeah. Hey, Greg, the terrorists, please stand by. We don't want you to stop. We don't want to tell you that you're bad people. We just want you to stand by with the terrorism and the white nationalism, please. Okay.
Well, hopefully we will have calmed down by 10 o'clock tomorrow morning when we're scheduled to do a show.
It's unlikely. Unlikely.
Oh boy. My people. Yeah. He did. Yeah, the comments are amazing. You folks are great tonight. Thank you so much for joining us. I know it's a crazy thing, and I know a lot of us were thinking about not watching it all and going and sitting on a beach somewhere. But I always feel you kind of have to see this. Yeah, you kind of have to have seen this.
Are you still there?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm just gonna do this right now.
Including lying about the vice president's dead son in Iraq as a way of trying to score points on it while that part of the debate arrived. There's something beyond fact checking that needs to happen here. This is the sort of thing that shouldn't happen. This sort of debate shouldn't happen in a democracy, not one in which we think that we choose between candidates based on them proposing competing sides of an argument. This is not the night I expected.
Look, I just want to give voice to what is probably an elephant in the room for those of you who have moderated debates. Chris Wallace did not act as a moderator. Donald Trump did not act as a debater.
Yeah.
Donald Trump was the abuser, and Chris Wallace was among the abused. Also among the abused, his opponent, who had a debate challenger who was cheating. I mean, those were not the rules. I participated in debate negotiations. There are rules. Donald Trump didn't follow them, and the debate moderator didn't hold his feet to the fire. And everyone who was suggesting, oh, there was nothing he could do, try driving down the freeway in a rainstorm with an 8-year-old in the back screaming. There's always something you can do. You take the iPad and you throw it out the window. There is always you can deprive a misbehaved child of. In this case, it was Donald Trump's desperate need for the oxygen of airtime. And I wonder very seriously whether conversations are being had among the subsequent moderators about what to do with an abusive participant. Donald Trump abused the process. He abused the debate moderator. He sought to abuse his opponent. Now, men and women, I think, will react to this very differently. I think in the face of abuse, there's just a human instinct to defend. And so I think men might feel like Joe Biden missed opportunities to punch back. I think women might have appreciated that this didn't descend into pure violence. I mean, this felt like an assault. It felt like an assault on our senses. It felt like an assault on our presidential campaign process. It felt like another assault on our politics, because that's what it was. However, I said this before the debate started. This was the plan. They prepped for this. He didn't wing it. He lied when he told our White House unit and others that being president's all the prep I need. There were prep sessions. He prepped for this, and this is a plan. So I think the question now becomes why? What's the plan? Because that ain't going to win you one single vote from a mom in the suburbs. That ain't it. I have worked for 3 presidential campaigns going for that vote, and that is not how you talk to them. So to your point, what are they doing?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's a display of disdain and abuse for the system because it thinks the system is about to turn him out of office. Yep. And so he's running not against Joe Biden, he's running against the election.
Yeah.
And this is part of that.
I mean, the thing is, as I was watching it, first of all, for the first 15 minutes, I couldn't understand what anyone was saying. Mm-hmm. Because, as you said, I've seen the Newt Gingrich debate strategy when he would attack the moderator. There is the attack the moderator strategy and try to litigate the moderator. This question was unfair. Why are you asking that, right? I've seen the strategy of try to belittle and throw your opponent off and get them to make a mistake. Trump used that in 2016 against Hillary Clinton. He would mock her and try to jump in and pivot in to try to get her to throw her off her game. There's all sorts of strategies. This was not, if it was a debate strategy, I'd be surprised. Maybe it was. It just seemed like a man who was out of control. That Donald Trump physically could not stand to hear truths about himself. I started writing down, I was trying to take notes like you. I started trying.
100 million
I tried.
Existing conditions.
Yeah,
wait a second.
You tried,
that wasn't sarcastic. Yeah.
Right, exactly. And he, when Joe Biden, and I thought his best moment was when he started talking about his son. He said, my son served his country. He was not a loser and he was not a sucker. This is a pretty moving moment. When it was a chance for the country to
and the president of the United States shit all over it.
Donald Trump physically couldn't let him get to the end of the sentence.
And he interjected, who is that?
Yeah.
Who is that?
Exactly. Was it? And he thought, this is my chance to go after Hunter Biden. He wasn't talking about Hunter Biden. Right. He was talking about Beau Biden, who is dead. And Trump didn't even have the decency or respect for the humanity of the man standing on the stage with him to let him finish his thought about his son who is dead.
Yeah.
Because Donald Trump essentially was not there to display even being president. I mean, I started Googling the Lincoln Douglas debates, right? The 18th, as I'm watching this, because I'm thinking to myself, we as a country were the established democracy after World War II. We were sort of the prima facie, we are democracy. We were going to demonstrate to other countries what it was about. And the idea of civilized debate, right, is such a core part of it.
Mm-hmm.
This was embarrassing for me. It was embarrassing. And somebody was tweeting, I hope the rest of the world wasn't watching.
Yeah.
Watching us become this. This was not a debate. It might have been a strategy to just don't let Biden say anything that's negative. As soon as he starts talking, dive in there and get it. But it was a strategy that
it was a display.
It was a display.
It was a performance, and it was a performance that included a refusal to condemn white supremacy, which his own FBI director just testified is the greatest single threat to the homeland. It was a performance in which he refused to let the moderator moderate. And when you look at someone with such an insatiable need to dominate and control, I really do think it reveals something about where they see the campaign, where they see the race. And I think it's possible that they
Greg,
see
they're
what
fucked. That's what they see.
So this is a race that is electorally out of reach.
Yeah.
But if their mission was to change the dynamics of the race, they did nothing to change the dynamics of the race. But maybe
they poured accelerant on
the
it.
supporters
I
they
think so
need
too.
to keep the faith at what Donald Trump closed on.
Yeah, like this is what I was trying to say before. This isn't 2015, 2016, right? Like he's sitting on a shitty economy, except for rich people. He's sitting on 18 million thousand fucking lies that are extremely well documented.
He's sitting on 200,000 dead Americans.
Right. Like that. It's just not the same. And so for him to come out and for Biden just to repeat, this guy has no plan. He's a fucking liar and he's a clown. All of those things are just true.
Yeah.
Right. Like that's not 2016. That's a knockout punch. Right. And is he still going to have 40% of people that are going to be with him for sure? Yes. But if you're undecided and you're looking at this, you're like, do we really want this fucking clown to keep doing stupid shit? And
I can't wait to see the poll.
Yes. Exactly.
I want to be wrong about my earlier statement. I want to be wrong.
Yeah.
I think he may have. I hope he made it more difficult for himself. I hope his number of his 91% of Republican voters supporting him falls drastically. But I don't think it will.
No, I think you're right about that. Like I think like independents are the only thing that we really have to work with at all.
And if you've ever known me and loved me and you're a Republican and you wonder why I'm not talking to you right now, this is exactly why. The president threatened violence on election day.
Yeah, exactly.
In a nationally televised debate, you're still going to fucking vote for him. It wouldn't matter to me if Jimmy Carter had said that or Obama had said that or Bill Clinton had said that. I would be yelling just as loud. That's outrageous and dangerous and stupid. And you're voting for it, man.
I mean,
don't come to Thanksgiving with me if you don't like this kind of a talk because you're going to get one.
Exactly. Yeah, there's no Trump supporters left in our family. We kicked the one out.
No, I got several.
Sorry about
little bits of what we understand our democracy to be about. And so we do the right things. We do our debates. We try to, look at the polls and look at this as it's so abnormal now.
Yeah.
It's so far down the
Joe Biden has to go because you don't stand up to a bully who is trying to do whatever he's doing, lift his leg and pee on our democracy by not showing up and standing up to the bully. You stand there because you made a deal and you hold up your end of the deal. And I don't think Joe Biden did himself any harm.
I don't think Joe Biden won this.
Running away.
Just on
and
humanity.
When Joe Biden
Just on
turned to the
humanity.
camera and talked to the American people, which was his gambit. That was his trick tonight.
Yep.
He would stop engaging with this and just talk to the camera.
Those
and
are
say,
the best moments.
You at home.
That's
That
the
was
best
the
moments.
only part of the debate that was coherent.
It's like you exhaled. You're like, oh yeah, someone remembered I'm watching. I mean, to Donald Trump, this is like, it's like you imagine him in that house rattling around after whatever's on it, Hannity or Laura Ingraham or something, and like shouting at the walls. It's like tonight there was a camera on him, and that's what we saw. This was like him unfiltered, yelling at the TV after the Fox programming goes to rerun.
Where Biden didn't lose his cool.
Right.
And Biden, I mean, he did do some things, some cathartic things. Will this guy shut up, calling him a clown? And
well, he did, for the record, call him a racist, which in the old days would be the headline.
Yeah, and the worst president of he said, you are the worst president that we have ever had.
Provably
and by the way,
true.
on the subject of the Proud Boys, he didn't just not condemn them. He said,
That's right.
He activated that. That's exactly it.
What? Directions? Is it
the Morse code blinking? I mean, what was that?
I want to
I'm
bring back
dismayed
into the
that they're
conversation,
laughing about
David
this.
Plouffe. He is the former campaign manager and advisor.
Yeah, I get that.
President Obama, current host of Campaign HQ podcast, and the last person we spoke with before we left this planet and spent 90-something minutes in a satellite asteroid orbit that felt very dangerous. David, what did you think?
Well, I mean, this is another Democratic norm that Donald Trump has shattered. Even in 2016, he treated the presidential debates somewhat normally for him. But I just want to echo what Nicole said. We talked about this before the debate. Let's focus on where the race is. If you look at all the battleground states on average, let's say Biden's up 50-45, which means Trump is losing. People are voting now. 10% of the vote in Wisconsin has already been cast. So Donald Trump was in great political danger before the pandemic. And part of it was people thought he was a jerk. They thought he was narcissistic. So I agree with Nicole. The voters he needs to pull away from Joe Biden. This isn't simply winning undecideds. He has to win all of the undecideds, basically, juice turnout, and pull vote off Joe Biden. That performance tonight, I think, is going to reinforce people's decision that Donald Trump does not deserve another 4 years. The other thing is, Nicole knows well, it's not just a debate night. What are we going to be talking about tomorrow and Thursday and Friday?
Right.
And I think a couple things. One, the fact that President Trump refused to offer any sympathy to Vice President Biden for his dead son who served in Iraq, Beau Biden. Remarkable moment that I think will be replayed over and over that people share on social media. The other thing, which I assume the Biden campaign will do a good job of pushing out, is I thought one of his strongest lines, and I agree with you, Rachel, when he looked at the American people and talked about their lives, those were strong moments. But when he said, when you said that hundreds of thousands of people have died, and that just is what it is what it is because you are who you are. Right. And I thought that was a strong moment. And I think the entire debate really encapsulated the fact that Donald Trump won't change. And I agree with you. I think Trump, in his mind tonight, was probably thinking, Vladimir Putin doesn't have to do these debates. Why should I?
Exactly.
Why should I have to go through this? Debates, voting, elections. This is my country. This is my White House. And again, he likes to talk about the suburbs. Suburban voters are fleeing from him. And I think today will only intensify that, in my view.
Yeah, it's a very,
in much
very
more
brave-
important news, Laugh Track has gone to bed.
That's exactly right.
Yeah, and the suburbs are
I wasn't fast enough on the pause. You have to say, okay, stop. And then I totally will.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Good night, Laugh Track.
really where he is really hurting. If you look at the Philadelphia suburb, that's where he's bleeding. And the women voters that he's been trying to terrify about Cory Booker. What are they, when they watch this performance, this screaming, as you said, wandering through the White House in his bedroom slippers and robe performance on television, does he, I don't know if he thinks that people are going to gravitate toward it, or if he's not capable of caring anymore because he's left the planet. At this point, he's just an angry autocrat who's desperate to hang on to power and who sees the legal threat ahead of him and the potential seizure of assets in his future and the potential foreclosure of Trump Tower. And he's mad and he does not understand why he has to even sit for a debate or sit for an election.
He thinks
Just
the whole
leave
thing
me
is
there.
beneath him and something that shouldn't be touched by his power.
Ignore paying your contractors and creditors.
Well, and Joe kind of nailed this part. You look down at everyone, whether they're from Scranton or not making as much money as you, and he's like, no, and everyone knows, like, yeah, you kind of do. You're a whole fucking family.
Absolutely, and that is why. I mean, I think that there's no question that the Biden campaign has to, agree to turn up at whatever debates there's going to be. If you're the presidential commission on debates, though, I mean, what happened to Chris Wallace tonight? I mean, people will blame Chris Wallace for what happened tonight, and I'm sure that he deserves some level of blame.
The only thing that he could do is turn the mic off. Right. And
they will never do that.
Exactly. Like he could have been as aggressive as he was at the end. He should have been that aggressive at the beginning, because you teach assholes like Trump how to treat you. Right. If you give him an inch, he's going to take 18,000 miles, and that's just the way it is. So, I mean, but I agree. You're probably right, Greg.
But mostly, I think Chris Wallace was in a position where he was there with a target on him, and he just got absolutely splattered by what the president decided to do to this process. And is the Presidential Commission on Debates going to put other journalists, other moderators in the position of being attacked and cheated on in that way? I mean, without them having some way to control
the rules that they
cut the mic, or have some other way to assert control.
I think some of the most uncomfortable moments were when Chris Wallace was saying, Mr. President, this one will make you happy. Like an abusive person freaking out. He was trying to calm the situation. And that creates the asymmetry that David Plouffe and other people have been talking about for 5 years. One candidate was out of control, and the neutral moderator was trying to calm him down by saying things like, "You're going to like the next question."
Yeah,
I mean, that's
appeasing him.
not normal.
That's not normal. But every time he said, "Mr. President, Mr. President, Mr. President, please," it was just a reminder that, oh my God, these were not two untested politicians up there winging it. One of these people is the president of the United States. That is humiliating for us as a country. This was a joke.
Yeah.
This was a mess.
And the president, you know, the parties organize the primary debates. And there's a lot of fighting within the primary process sometimes as to whether outside groups should also be allowed to organize town halls or debates or mini debates and stuff. But when it comes to a general election, both major parties have a nominee. This is the Presidential Commission on Debates. It is neutral moderators who do something that is carried by every single network everywhere in the country. This is part of our civic process that has just been undone by Donald Trump saying, I'm not doing this. I'm just going to get up there and I'm going to talk the whole time and screw you. And he didn't bite the head off a bat, which is what I was.
Shat upon.
Oh, hold on.
Seemed out of control. He just seemed like he
emotionally.
couldn't emotionally control himself, that he wasn't capable of it, that maybe he didn't have the capability to stop himself. It was an out of control
And a lot of
man.
people thought that Biden's temper would get the better of him
And he
tonight. And he did shout at him a couple of times, but he was the one who was in control.
That's
I think
Okay,
that's all
stop.
The president
Okay,
was.
stop.
Shut up, man.
There's already the Biden campaign already has a T-shirt up that says, "Hey, man, shut up."
Will you shut up, man?
Shut up, man.
I'm buying that shirt. I am buying that shirt. Well done. God damn it. Will you shut up, man? That's awesome.
out of it.
Something else. All right. We are going to hand over now to our beloved colleague, Brian Williams, where the 11th hour starts right now.
All right. That's it for me. I really wanted to hear from the ladies. Brian Williams, I love you, but not as much as
Not that much.
Not as much.
I gotta say, when we first turned this on tonight, Joy Reid, Nicole Wallace, Rachel Maddow were the panel. 3 women with amazing insight and great opinions and experience. I'm happy to let them drive the bus because they were awesome. Let them listen to me. I'm going to let them drive the bus.
Are you not benevolent?
I am so benevolent, so fucking benevolent.
So deeply, inalterably benevolent. Okay, that's enough from us. Thank you guys very much for hanging out with us.
Hey, Dawn, thank you. Dawn says a friend of hers shared the link with her tonight. Yeah, we haven't seen you before. Welcome to the madness. We're not always this funny, but generally we're this interesting. So
Something
if
like
you
that.
liked it tonight, you should watch us. We're on 3 days a week, Monday, Wednesday, Friday, 10 o'clock in the morning, Eastern time. We are a gaslight shelter for progressives and Democrats. We figure ourselves to be a bridge between centrists and leftists.
Hey, we
Trying to convince anybody that I hang out with that Joe Biden is a socialist is fucking hilarious. Because
it is funny.
It
'cause
ain't
that's
happening.
not how any of this works. Anyway, thank you to all the new people. Thank you intensely to our family who was in the comments the entire time, who we hang out with every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 10 a.m. Yes, this is me repeating it because the Mir effect works.
Yeah.
We do have an odd sign off for the show that you'll hear now.
Sasquatch is real.